Hey everyone, we've updated our channel name from Chinese Novel Audio Wave to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Nothing else will be changing. We're still uploading a new video every day, bringing you the best Chinese novel audiobooks. Let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1201. Doesn't Master Zhan think this is a good opportunity? After hearing Lu Chen's words, the emperors in the hall felt that they should also enter the foreign land to compete for opportunities, and they did not doubt the authenticity of the news. The reason is very simple. There are many strong people outside the world themselves. Those strong people do not belong to the external world, nor do they belong to this universe. They are likely to come from another universe. Since those strong people outside the world can enter the outer realm, the treasures of other universes can naturally appear in the outer realm. Google search Tuacan. If there is really a treasure of the Emperor of Heaven, then this treasure cannot be given to others, although the record of a universe can only give birth to one Emperor of Heaven, passed down from ancient times, has not been verified. But if you are not afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of what if. If this record is true and the treasure that breaks through to become the Emperor of Heaven falls into the hands of other emperors, they will also become the Emperor. What should Lu Chen do, the Emperor of Shatian? So no matter what, those treasures that can help the 9-level Emperor take that step cannot fall into the hands of other forces in this universe. After the emperors in the hall were talking for a while, Lu Chen spoke again. If there is really a magic weapon that can make the Emperor of the 9-level realm break through and become the Emperor of Heaven, it will naturally not fall into the hands of others, so I decided to take people to the outside world as well. Hearing Lu Chen's words, the emperors in the hall expressed their approval. Such important things must be snatched. This is related to the dispute between the Emperor of Heaven and whether they can have a greater confidence in going through the great disaster of the era in the future. Lu Chen changed his subject at this time, but then again, I am still a little worried about the current situation of the Great Xia Dynasty. And I think this trip to the outside world is an excellent expansion opportunity for the Great Xia Dynasty. Hearing Lu Chen's words, the emperor present instantly understood what Lu Chen meant. If the top forces in the central star domain go to the foreign domain to look for opportunities, it is indeed an excellent expansion opportunity for the Great Xia Dynasty. By then, there will be not many strong people in this universe. Those dynasties with slightly weaker strength will most likely choose to surrender directly when they see the Great Xia Dynasty coming in full force. Lu Chen continued. So the key task for the next period of time is to continue to expand externally, increase the number of our emperors, and increase the fortune of the dynasty. After Lu Chen finished speaking, the emperor in the hall said in unison, "Abide by the emperor's order." After Lu Chen's order was issued, the War Dragon army of the Great Xia Dynasty immediately took action and continued to expand to the outside world. The Shenyu Dynasty and Tianji Tower have been paying attention to the movements of the Great Xia Dynasty. After all, they want to know whether Lu Chen was deceived. Tianji Tower, the top of Tianji Peak. Xuantian sat in the pavilion, leisurely savoring the tea in his hand. At this moment, the phantoms of the three great emperors appeared outside the pavilion, the clones of the Lord of Nirvana, the Emperor of Shenwu, and the Queen of Dusheng. After the clones of the three people appeared, they found Xuantian drinking tea leisurely and frowned. At this time, Emperor Shenwu said, "Master Xuanlu, it seems that your plan is not reliable. My rebellious son doesn't seem to be fooled." Quote. Hearing the Emperor Shenwu, Zhan Tian smiled faintly, and then said, "Who said he was not fooled?" Emperor Shenwu continued, "Now the army of the Great Xia Dynasty is expanding everywhere. If they are deceived, will they start a large war at this time? Logically speaking, if Lu Chen is deceived, Lu Chen should gather the emperor as soon as possible and prepare to go to the outer domain with the emperor in the central star field, instead of sending those emperors out everywhere to start wars like now. This shows that Lu Chen may not have taken the news of the treasures in the foreign land at all." Zhan Tian said lightly, "Don't worry first. From my perspective, it is precisely because he believed this rumor that he accelerated his attack on other dynasties at this time." The Queen of Dusheng asked, "Why is this?" Before Xuantian could speak, the Lord of Nirvana said first, He wanted to take advantage of the attention of the top forces in the central star domain in the outer domain, so he seized more territory to enhance the fortune of the Xia Dynasty. When they head to the outer realm, there will be more emperors in their Xia Dynasty. On the way to expand externally, the Xia Dynasty will inevitably attract more emperors to join the Xia Dynasty, although according to current information, the Xia Dynasty has 2 great emperors who prove the truth by killing. One of the great emperors was an empress, and the other was Lu Chen himself, but both of them rarely started killing. As long as the surrendered emperors were basically absorbed into the Great Xia Dynasty. From this point of view, the purpose of the Xia Dynasty launching a war to the outside world is obviously different from that of the Emperor Shenwu. The Emperor Shenwu launching a war is just to kill and enhance his personal strength, so as to take that step. Lu Chen is to make the overall strength of the Great Xia Dynasty stronger. From this point of view, Lu Chen is rushing to launch a foreign war at this time, and the biggest purpose is to absorb more emperors to join the Great Xia Dynasty. After hearing the words of the Lord of Nirvana, the Queen Dusheng and Emperor Shenwu reacted. Emperor Shenwu sneered, "It seems that this rebellious son's ambition is greater than that of this emperor." Xuantian took a sip of the tea in his hand and then said, "Since the fish has been hooked, we should prepare it. As long as Lu Chen's body comes out of the Great Xia Dynasty, he will immediately send the Great Xia Dynasty out of this universe. Without the protection of that immortal weapon, Lu Chen will only be able to keep on him like he did in the previous few decades. The body reincarnates until the power of the soul completely dissipates and is refined by him." Thinking of this, Xuantian's mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. It was already this life, and he felt that Lu Chen's soul power should be almost unable to withstand it. After hearing Xuantian's words, the Queen Dusheng did not hesitate at all. "Okay, I will go back and prepare first." After the words came, the clone of the Queen Dusheng disappeared instantly. After the Queen Dusheng left, the Lord of Nirvana also left, and finally the Emperor Shenwu and Xuantian were left above the mountain. Seeing that the Emperor Shenwu had not left yet, Zantian asked, "What else do you have?" Emperor Shenwu said expressionlessly, "Don't the Master Zan Tower think this is a good opportunity?" Emperor Shenwu continued, "The opportunity to deal with the old holy places in the central star domain." This news not only attracted Lu Chen, but also attracted the attention of those old holy lands. Next, there will definitely be many holy land lords of the old holy land to go to the outer realm. Generally speaking, those old people have been hiding in the Holy Land, and it is very difficult to get rid of them. After all, those old holy lands have various ancient formations, and the power of those formations is very terrifying. Even the Emperor of Shenwu will not dare to easily attack those ancient holy places. But if the Holy Land lords of those holy lands come out, it will be different. Chapter 1202 It's a pity that you are just a chess piece in my hand. After hearing the words of Emperor Shenwu, Xuantian laughed. Emperor Shenwu was planning to launch a war against those old holy places in advance, so as to treat Tianji Tower, Nirvana Holy Land and Yunhua Palace as the sword in his hand. After solving these old holy places, I am afraid that the next target of Emperor Shenwu is Tianji Tower or Yunhua Palace. Zantian then smiled and said, "The Emperor of Shenwu is really easy to plot, but they are all emperors in the 9th level realm, and they are not that easy to deal with. It would be better if you give up this mind. If you are aware of your thoughts by those old holy places, they will unite to deal with the Divine Moon Dynasty, and even you may not be able to fight against them." He just tried it out, thinking that since Xuantian had the power to send the Xia Dynasty out of this universe, if he could use Xuantian, then the old holy lands in the central star field would not be anything to the Divine Moon Dynasty at that time. A big threat. But now it seems that Zantian is obviously also guarding against him and cannot help him. It doesn't matter. Xuantian doesn't help him. He can find a way by himself. As long as the lords of the old holy land go to the outer realm, he will find an opportunity to solve them one by one. Once the lords of those holy lands die, some ancient formations of those holy lands may not be activated. It is rumored that many ancient formations are bound to the lords of the Holy Land. It is said that most lords of the Holy Land are survivors who survived from the last era. This type of people have always been suspicious and afraid of death. They dare not pass the ancient formations they have in their hands to the young emperors in their holy land, for fear that those young emperors would usurp the throne. This is why those old people are almost dead, but they can always firmly control the Holy Land. Therefore, once the Lord of the Holy Land dies, it is likely to mean the decline of an ancient Holy Land. Without those ancient formations, the Emperor Shenwu would not take those Holy Lands seriously. Emperor Shenwu said at this time, "Since the Master Xuanlu is not interested, I won't disturb you." Emperor Shenwu no longer wasted his time and turned around and left. After waiting for Emperor Shenwu to leave, Xuantian put down the teacup in his hand, sneered, and then said to himself, "This is the first time someone wants to use me as a knife. It's a pity that you are just a pawn in my hand." The expansion of the Great Xia Dynasty was very fast. At this moment, a strange phenomenon appeared in the universe, that is, almost all the top forces were waiting and watching. They did not take any action and allowed the Great Xia Dynasty to expand to the outside world. These top forces actually wanted to see if they had any plans to deal with the Great Xia Dynasty after the alliance between the Shenyu Dynasty and the Tianji Tower. These top forces have formed an alliance, and it is impossible for them to allow the Great Xia Dynasty to expand. However, what is unexpected is that the number of emperors in the Great Xia Dynasty is almost heading towards 200, and the Shenyu Dynasty and Tianji are still missing. What's going on in the building? This makes some ancient holy places unable to sit still. If the Great Xia Dynasty continues to expand like this, when the Great Xia Dynasty's luck accumulates to a certain extent, Lu Chen is afraid that he will directly break through to become the Emperor of Heaven, that's all. If Lu Chen becomes the Emperor of Heaven, they are likely to never be able to take that step. Some emperors of the 9-level realm are about to arrive. Just bet on whether they can take that step before the great disaster of the era. Lu Chen is about. They say the threat is too great. The Holy Land of Qingyu. In the center of the Holy Land, smoke is shrouded in the air, and the flying cranes fly around, like a fairyland. In a loft made of purple sandalwood, a skinny old man suddenly opened his eyes. He looked at the white crane in the distance and said to himself, "No, I can't let him grow any longer." As the surviving emperor in the last era, the Lord of Qingyu quickly broke through to become the emperor of the 9th level and was always stuck in this realm. However, unlike the Lord of Nirvana, he made many attempts to take that step. It was because these attempts caused him to suffer a lot of Dao injuries, which greatly shortened his lifespan, and the duration of the period was faster than other 9-level emperors. Arrival. He has not had much time, and it is very likely that he will die early until the arrival of the great disaster of the era. When people are about to die, they will become very crazy in order to survive. The Lord of Qingyu will never allow anyone to take that step before him to become the Emperor of Heaven, otherwise he will have no way to die. At this time, the Lord of Qingyu sent a message to the Emperor who is currently in charge of the Holy Land of Qingyu, "Taikong, come here." Hearing the voice transmission of the Lord of Qingyu, a middle-aged man soon appeared in front of the Lord of Qingyu. The man exuded a very restless power of the Great Way. He was also an emperor in the 9-level realm, and for now, Taikong the Great Emperor is even stronger than the Lord of the Qingyu. Of course, Emperor Taikong still dared not act rashly in front of the Lord of Qingyu. The ancient formations of the Holy Land of Qingyu were bound to the Lord of Qingyu. If Emperor Taikong took the initiative to use the formation, Emperor Taikong would have to escape. After seeing the Lord of Qingyu, Emperor Taikong bowed reluctantly and said, "Greetings to the ancestor." "I don't know what's wrong with the ancestor." The Lord of Qingyu glanced at Emperor Taikong with deep eyes, and then said, "Taikong, this is the end of my life. I will leave the entire Qingyu Holy Land to you in the future." Hearing this, Emperor Taikong was not excited at all. He knew very well what kind of person the Lord of Qingyu was. Before the Lord of Qingyu fell, it was impossible for him to give up the entire Holy Land of Qingyu to others. Although I knew very well that the Lord of Qingyu was talking about the scene, Emperor Taikong still looked grateful and said with a bitter face, "Old ancestor, don't say such things. There is less than one great disaster in the era. 10,000 years are coming. Without your blessing, how can these people in the Holy Land of Qingyu survive? The Lord of Qingyu sighed and said, alas, I know the situation of my seat best. I may not be able to persevere on the day when the disaster comes. Speaking of this, before Emperor Taikang could answer, the Lord of Qingyu continued, before the deadline, I have another wish, which is to help you take that step. Hearing this, Emperor Taikang wanted to laugh in his heart. He was about to say something, but the Lord of Qingyu continued, it's a pity that only one heavenly emperor can be produced in a universe. Lu Chen of the Xia Dynasty grew too fast. If you want to become the emperor of heaven, you will never let him continue to grow. Emperor Taikang immediately understood the meaning of the Lord of Qingyu. Old ancestor, I also know that the expansion of the Great Xia Dynasty was too fast, but there was no movement in those top holy places, and even the Shenyu Dynasty and Tianji Tower did not. Stop the Xia Dynasty. The end of this chapter. Chapter 1203 The Decision of the Lord of the Pursuit. Seeing that the Lord of Qingyu mentioned the Great Xia Dynasty, Emperor Taikang knew that the Lord of Qingyu could not sit still. The deadline for the Lord of Qingyu is coming soon. If someone takes that step before him and becomes the Emperor of Heaven, it will be equivalent to sealing the Lord of Qingyu's path to survival, and he will have to wait for death. The Lord of Qingyu said at this time, they don't move because they don't move. They indulge the Xia Dynasty because they don't want to take that step to become the Emperor of Heaven, but Taikang, you are different. You broke through the 9 levels at such a young age. You are the person with the most hope of becoming the Emperor of Heaven in this universe. If you let Lu Chen continue to grow, and when he becomes the Emperor of Heaven in the future, you will have no hope at all. Are you willing? Hearing the words of the Lord of Qingyu, Emperor Taikang only wanted to laugh in his heart. What this old guy said on the surface for him, but in fact he wanted to treat him as a knife. As of now, in the Holy Land of Qingyu, Emperor Taikang is not an opponent of the Lord of Qingyu, but after leaving the Holy Land of Qingyu, Lord Qingyu may not be an opponent of the Emperor Taikang. The Lord of Qingyu had reached the point where the oil was exhausted, and it was impossible for him to take the initiative to leave Qingyu Holy Land and run to attack the Xia Dynasty, so he said this, hoping that Emperor Taikang would take people to deal with the Xia Dynasty. Emperor Taikang knew the purpose of the Lord of Qingyu. He said at this time, Old ancestor, I don't actually want to take that step. As of now, I don't have the potential to become the Emperor of Heaven, even the Lord of the Holy Land like you. How could I do that without taking that step? The Lord of Qingyu frowned, then scolded and said, Jing said slutty, the Holy Land of Qingyu will be given to you in the future. How can you have such an idea? Only by breaking through and becoming the Emperor of Heaven can you protect the entire Holy Land of Qingyu. As the next Holy Lord of the Qingyu Holy Land, this is a responsibility you must shoulder. Okay, there is no need to say much about this. You should hurry up and prepare and attack the Xia Dynasty. The Qingyu Holy Land is still in charge, and no one will come to the Qingyu Holy Land to be presumptuous. Hearing the words of the Lord of Qingyu, Emperor Taikang couldn't help but run away slightly, but fortunately, Emperor Taikang quickly calmed down. The Lord of Qingyu said that the Holy Land of Qingyu still wanted him to take charge, which meant that Emperor Taikang was still the Lord of Qingyu. The Lord of Qingyu had the final say. Emperor Taikang only needed to listen to his orders. Emperor Taikang tried hard to calm down his inner emotions, and then said, Yes, I understand, I'll prepare now. After the words came to an end, Emperor Taikang turned around and left. After Emperor Taikang left, the Lord of Qingyu sneered and said, I have not died yet, so I have begun to think about this position. Not everyone can think about this position. After Emperor Taikang left, he summoned the Emperor of the Holy Land to convene a meeting. As soon as Emperor Taikang summoned those emperors to the main hall, one of the emperor asked in confusion, Son, what happened? Although Emperor Taikang is already an emperor in the 9th level, he will always be a saint's son before he becomes the Holy Lord, so the elders of the Holy Land of Qingyu can only call him a saint's son. Emperor Taikang felt very unhappy when he heard the title of saint's son, but considering that he was still staring at him, he could not let others change his name. Even if he felt uncomfortable, he could only recognize. Emperor Taikang said directly, the ancestor has come out of seclusion, he has a new order. Hearing this, the emperors in the hall were stunned for a moment. No wonder Emperor Taikong wanted to hold a meeting. It turned out that it was because the one who came out of seclusion. They held a meeting of the emperor level a few days ago due to the current situation in the universe. The subsequent actions of the Qingyu Holy Land were discussed at that meeting. Usually, such meetings will not be held again in a short period of time, and the emperor is very busy. However, since the Lord of the Holy Land has come out of seclusion and has issued new instructions, it is indeed necessary to hold a meeting at the emperor level. At this time, an emperor asked curiously, "Son, I wonder what the ancestor has to give." Emperor Taikong said with an unhappy look, "Old ancestor wants us to attack the Xia Dynasty and prevent the Xia Dynasty from continuing to expand to the outside world." Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Hearing this, the emperors in the hall were stunned. Attack the Xia Dynasty. At this time, what a joke, the top forces in the Central Star Domain, even the Shenyu Dynasty, have not taken action against the Xia Dynasty. What are they doing when they attack the Xia Dynasty? What did their ancestor think? Let's not talk about whether they are opponents of the Xia Dynasty. Even if they really defeat the Xia Dynasty, they will not be able to break through the protective barrier of the Xia Dynasty. At that time, the people of the Xia Dynasty would hide in that barrier, and the Qingyu Holy Land would also have no choice but to use the Xia Dynasty. How could their ancestor make such a decision? At this time, Emperor Taikong hinted, "Maybe the time for the ancestor is approaching. He hopes to see me become the Emperor of Heaven and be able to stand alone in the future." People instantly understood what Emperor Taikong meant. The Immortal One was to be greedy for life and fear that Lu Chen of the Xia Dynasty grew too fast. After becoming the Emperor of Heaven, he cut off his path to survival, so they were asked to attack the Great Xia Dynasty. At this time, a great emperor asked, "Will the ancestor go on the battle in person?" Emperor Taikong said, "No," he said he would take charge of the Holy Land to avoid foreign enemies taking the opportunity to invade. Hearing this, the emperors look at me, I look at you, the emperors present actually support Emperor Taikong more. After all, in order to stabilize his cultivation, the Lord of Qingyu did everything. Pass. The Lord of Qingyu even used a living emperor to do some experiments, which eventually killed many emperors in the Holy Land of Qingyu. He basically had no good impression of such ancestors, these emperors in the Holy Land of Qingyu. If it weren't for the ancient formations of the sacred land that had been tightly controlled by the sacred land, the great emperors would have already united to overthrow the sacred land. With those ancient formations, even though their current strength is already stronger than the Lord of Qingyu, they still dare not act rashly. At this time, the hall was quiet. The current situation was that other top forces did not attack the Xia Dynasty. They alone were probably not a match for the Xia Dynasty. But the Lord of Qingyu has issued an order, so they cannot ignore it. If they do not listen, this old immortal might have done something. After a while, a great emperor said, "You must not ignore the words of the ancestor. Since the ancestor has already spoken, we should go back and prepare and send troops immediately." After hearing the emperor's words, an emperor stood up and said, "Even the Shenyu Dynasty and Tianji Tower have no choice but to deal with the Xia Dynasty. How could we, a holy land, deal with the Xia Dynasty?" End of this chapter. Chapter 1204 Lu Chen's Plan. These emperors from the Qingyu Holy Land must be the first to attack the Xia Dynasty. The Xia Dynasty has two emperors. Even if they are opponents of the Xia Dynasty, the Qingyu Holy Land will inevitably suffer great losses. Maybe they will lose a lot of emperors. The tragedy of the four dynasties of Lingzhou Superstar Domain Group is ahead, and they are still a little afraid of the Xia Dynasty. At this time, the emperors in the hall began to talk. Some people agreed to hear the words of the Lord Qingyu and send troops to attack the Xia Dynasty. Some people also felt that they should persuade the Lord Qingyu to let the Lord Qingyu understand that the Xia Dynasty was not that good. "I want him to give up on his own initiative." Emperor Taikong did not speak immediately. He listened to the emperors' discussions in the hall. After a while, the emperors in the hall did not discuss a good solution. At this time, they all looked at the silent. The Emperor Taikong. Emperor Taikong was the saint's son and the person who was in charge of the sacred land of Qingyu. Since that is the case, it is up to him to decide whether to attack the Xia Dynasty. Seeing that the hall had become quiet, Emperor Taikong said, "Since it is the order of the ancestor, we have to listen. Let's go down and prepare. We will send troops to the Xia Dynasty in a month." Seeing that Emperor Taikong made the decision, the emperors sighed, but they did not expect to send troops to attack the Xia Dynasty. But then again, there is no other way than to send troops to attack the Xia Dynasty. If they rebel at this time, they may not be able to overthrow the Lord of the Qingyu. If something happened to this old thing, he might have pulled the entire Qingyu Holy Land to destroy it. After Emperor Taikong made the decision, the emperors left one after another, and there was nothing to discuss now. As for the tactics of attacking the Xia Dynasty, there was no need to discuss them. They had never thought that this war would be able to win. The emperors gradually left the hall, and at this time a great emperor came to Emperor Taikong. "Son, do we really want to attack the Xia Dynasty?" Emperor Taikong sighed and said, "This is what the ancestor means." The implication of Emperor Taikong's words was that they could not refuse the orders of the ancestor. Emperor Taikong continued at this time, "Go and prepare, I know what to do." Although the ancestor's order cannot be disobeyed, sending troops is different from whether he can defeat the Xia Dynasty. It was impossible for them to send troops symbolically, just to complete the task, and to let them really run to attack the Xia Dynasty. After hearing Emperor Taikong's words, the other emperors instantly understood Emperor Taikong's plans, and they actually thought so in their hearts. "Since you think so, it's easy to do. Soon, the news of Qingyu Holy Land sending troops to the Xia Dynasty spread throughout the Central Star Domain, and Lu Chen's clone in the Central Star Domain also heard about this. This made Lu Chen a little confused. A holy place for clearance. What kind of force is that? What did they do to send troops to the Xia Dynasty? When did the Xia Dynasty provoke them? Later, Lu Chen sent someone to investigate the major forces in the Central Star Field and found that the Qingyu Holy Land is an ancient holy land. Like other ancient holy lands, the Lord of the Holy Land is probably also a survivor who survived the last era. This made Lu Chen basically guess why the Qingyu Holy Land suddenly attacked the Xia Dynasty. It was obvious that the Qingyu Lord was worried that he would grow too fast and became the Emperor of Heaven before him, so he asked the Qingyu Holy Land to send troops to limit the Xia Dynasty expansion. Lu Chen didn't care much about this matter. He just sent troops. What can the old Holy Land do? It's just that there are a few more emperors in the 9th level realm. Nowadays, there are hundreds of emperors in the Great Xia Dynasty. When using the Spirit Gathering Array, no emperor in the 9th level is his opponent. Red Rain World. Lu Chen's clone was sitting by the river, holding a fishing rod in his hand and a grass in his mouth, lying half on the grass by the river, which was very comfortable. His clone now has only one function, that is, to guard Yun Qingshu in the Red Rain World, monitor her every move, and then find an opportunity to force Yun Qingshu to Tianqian World. Lu Chen actually had a plan in his heart. He would definitely not be able to use softness to bring Yun Qingshu back to Tianqian World. Just Yun Qingshu's attitude towards him was absolutely impossible to follow him to Tianqian World. The way Lu Chen thought was to use the holy level teleportation array, and then find an opportunity to push Yun Qingshu directly into the holy level teleportation array. It only takes a moment to reach the Tianqian World. Once Yun Qingshu goes to Tianqian World, it is impossible for her to escape even if she wants to escape. Then she will slowly polish Yun Qingshu's personality. With Yun Shenxian as his clone, Lu Chen believes that Yun Qingshu will soon get used to life in Tianqian World. Thinking of his plan, Lu Chen's mouth rose slightly, but at this moment, a sound came from the woods next to him. "Son, what are we doing here at this time? It will take some time to mobilize the army. Let's stay in the Red Rain World for a few days first." What the son said is. When Lu Chen heard the conversation between the people in the woods, he was a little curious. "Holy Son, The army is mobilized. Who mobilizes the army? Where to go for the transfer? Could it be to attack the Red Rain world? The current Red Rain world is controlled by Xuanyu Palace, which is Yun Qingshu. No one should care about such a marginal small world in the central star field. How could anyone come here? Just when Lu Chen was confused, a great emperor suddenly came to Lu Chen's side. Without saying a word, the emperor released his pressure and planned to kill Lu Chen to silence him. Fortunately, the voice of the middle-aged man came from the woods at this time. Forget it. Hearing this, the emperor in front of Lu Chen stopped immediately. To an emperor, a saint was just an ant and could be killed at any time. It was obvious that Emperor Taikong did not take Lu Chen to heart. Lu Chen used the system to identify the middle-aged man who was just talking and found that the man was the saint son of the Qingyu Holy Land that was rumored recently. Lu Chen was speechless. In this small world on the edge of the central star field, could he actually meet the holy son of the Qingyu Holy Land? This holy son really knows how to choose places. Wasn't he going to send troops to attack the Great Xia Dynasty? Why did he come to such a place? Could it be that Emperor Taikong already knew the relationship between Yun Qingshu and him, so he wanted to capture Yun Qingshu and then use Yun Qingshu to deal with the Great Xia Dynasty? Thinking of this possibility, Lu Chen's face turned dark instantly. At this time, Emperor Longquan in front of Lu Chen said, "You are a little saint, but you have some courage. When you see this emperor taking action, you are actually at all. Don't feel scared." Emperor Longquan really wanted to solve Lu Chen's clearance. If it weren't for Emperor Taikong, there would be no Lu Chen here now. As a result, the saint in front of him did not blink. If it were another saint, I'm afraid it would have been he knelt down and kowtowed and begged for mercy. End of this chapter. Chapter 1205. We do not intend to attack the Great Xia Dynasty during this trip. After Emperor Longquan finished speaking, Emperor Taikong suddenly appeared in front of Lu Chen. He frowned and looked at Lu Chen, then said in disbelief, 16-year-old saint. How is that possible? After hearing Emperor Taikong's words, other emperors who followed Emperor Taikong also appeared in front of Lu Chen. The emperors surrounded Lu Chen and watched, as if they were watching monkeys in the zoo. Remember the domain name of the first website. Open. After seeing that Lu Chen's soul was indeed complete, the emperors were shocked. There would be a 16-year-old saint in this universe. How is this possible? What a terrifying talent this is. The sound that was heard, the emperor present came to his senses next time, and Emperor Taikong immediately said, "What force are you from?" Emperor Taikong thought to himself that with such a terrifying talent, this person may have come from some top force. Fortunately, Emperor Longquan did not take action just now. If this genius was killed, there would probably be more Qingyu Holy Land at that time. An enemy. Lu Chen replied, "After Senior, I have not joined any force for the time being." Hearing Lu Chen's answer, the emperor present was stunned again. "Look at me, look at you. Didn't join any force. That is to say, the wild top genius. Relying on talent, one can become a saint at the age of 16. This is impossible even if it is the reincarnation of the great emperor." After Emperor Taikong came to his senses, he checked Lu Chen's body again and found that Lu Chen's body was very normal. His soul was also very stable, not particularly strong, and he did not look like the reincarnation of a certain emperor. The reason why Lu Chen's soul is stable and not strong is related to Lu Chen's clone. When Lu Chen's clone is at what level, his clone can carry the soul of the corresponding state, but in fact his soul behind it is a stronger soul. However, the connected part of the souls and other emperors cannot detect it. This is the top clone technique that Lu Chen has developed through the holy level puppet technique and the way of life. Lu Chen used this method to get into Yunhua Palace. After Emperor Taikong came to his senses, he looked at Lu Chen and said, "Are you willing to join the holy land of Qingyu and become a disciple of this emperor?" Although the great catastrophe is approaching, this person may have died in the great catastrophe before he grows up, but no matter who sees such a talent, he wants to be a disciple. Emperor Taikong didn't expect his luck to be so good. He just came to this remote world to take a rest and actually encountered such a good seedling. Thinking of this, Emperor Taikong felt a little emotional in his heart. Unfortunately, this life was in this era. If he had been born hundreds of thousands of years ago, he might have taken that step to become the Emperor of Heaven. Just as Emperor Taikong was sighing, Lu Chen immediately bowed and said, "Disciple, pay homage to Master." Lu Chen happened to take this opportunity to sneak into the Qingyu Holy Land and see what secrets there are in the Qingyu Holy Land. Seeing that Lu Chen had become a disciple, Emperor Taikong immediately smiled brightly. At this time, the emperors next to Emperor Taikong congratulated Emperor Taikong. Congratulations to the Holy Son for receiving such an excellent disciple. Emperor Taikong laughed for a while, looked at Lu Chen and asked, "By the way, I don't know what your name is yet." Lu Chen replied, "The disciple is named Chen Lu." Emperor Taikong said, Okay, Chen Lu, this is a gift to you for your apprenticeship." While speaking, a small bottle and a heavenly level spiritual sword appeared in Emperor Taikong's hand. Emperor Taikong continued, "This is a heavenly level spirit sword, and the heavenly level breaking mirror pill in this bottle can help you easily attain the Great Emperor when you are a quasi-emperor." Lu Chen immediately took these two things and said, Thank you, Master." Emperor Taikong said, "You don't have to be so polite between you and me." Lu Chen asked at this time, "Master, don't you know where the Holy Land of Qingyu is?" Seeing Lu Chen ask this question, Emperor Taikong reacted, "You should rarely enter the core area of the central star field, right?" Lu Chen replied, "The disciple is weak and dare not enter." Emperor Taikong said, "Then you don't know that the Holy Land of Qingyu is normal. Our Holy Land of Qingyu is one of the oldest holy lands in the universe, and it is also one of the top forces in the universe." Lu Chen looked surprised, looking as if he was flattered. Emperor Taikong felt very proud when he saw Lu Chen's appearance that he had never seen the world. At this time, Lu Chen asked curiously, "The Red Rain world belongs to the relatively peripheral star field of the central star field. Why do you come to such a place?" Emperor Taikong said, "This is a long story. We are just resting here and don't plan to stay for too long." "Okay, let's not talk about this anymore, let's change somewhere." Then Emperor Taikong took Lu Chen to the immortal boat in the sacred land of Qingyu. At this moment, Yun Qingshu from the Xuanyu Palace in the Red Rain world noticed that Lu Chen and the breath of those emperors disappeared together, and knew that Lu Chen was taken away by the emperors from the Qingyu Holy Land, but Yun Qingshu didn't want to save him at all. Lu Chen's thoughts. Lu Chen is just a clone, and even if he dies, he will not suffer any loss. Moreover, Xuanyu Palace is now just a weak force, and she is the only emperor in the entire Xuanyu Palace. She cannot offend Qingyu Holy Land for Lu Chen. After Lu Chen came to the immortal boat in the sacred land of Qingyu, Emperor Taikong said to Lu Chen, "Chen Lu, our trip is to attack the Xia Dynasty. You should have heard about the Xia Dynasty." Lu Chen pretended to be confused and asked, "Master, I heard that neither the Shenyu Dynasty nor the Tianji Tower had taken action against the Xia Dynasty. Why is our Holy Land so anxious to take action against the Xia Dynasty?" Emperor Taikong said, "This is the order of our Holy Land ancestor, we just need to obey it." Lu Chen said, "The Great Xia Dynasty does not seem to have a great emperor in the 9-level realm. Since our Holy Land is the top power in the universe, there should be several great emperors in the 9-level realm, right?" Emperor Taikong replied, "In addition to the ancestor, there are 4 emperors in our Holy Land in total." Hearing this, Lu Chen was a little surprised. One of the top forces in the universe and only 4 9th-level emperors, it seemed that the top forces in the universe were not very good. If this is the case, it seems that it is not impossible for the Great Xia Dynasty to dominate the universe. Lu Chen said at this time, "The Great Xia Dynasty seems to have no one in the 9-level emperor in the 4 9th level. Master will definitely destroy the Great Xia Dynasty." Hearing this, Emperor Taikong couldn't help but smile bitterly. It's not that easy. Although the Great Xia Dynasty does not have the 9-level emperor, they already have the ability to kill the 9-level emperor. The 9-level realm of the Lingzhou Superstar Domain Group, the emperor will die. Chapter 1206. This is probably a game. Hearing Emperor Taikong's answer, Lu Chen was a little puzzled and did not intend to attack the Xia Dynasty. He was moving towards the direction of the Xia Dynasty with such a big fanfare, but he said he didn't plan to attack the Xia Dynasty. So why did they send so many emperors out? Going out for a trip. Just when Lu Chen was curious, Emperor Taikang continued, the Xia Dynasty is now prosperous and has the strength to be on par with us, the ancient Holy Land. Not to mention whether we are their opponents, even if we are really defeated. The Great Xia Dynasty is likely to be both defeated. The great catastrophe is coming, which is not a good thing for the Holy Land of Qingyu. Besides, there is another special reason for being a master to preserve your strength. The most important thing is that even if we defeat the main force of the Xia Dynasty, we may not be able to break the barrier of the Xia Dynasty, so even if this war is won, it will be meaningless. Lu Chen asked, why did the master send troops to the Xia Dynasty? Emperor Taikang walked to the bow of the ferry boat at this time and looked at the core area of the central star field, that is the teacher who has to go. The Holy Land of Qingyu is not the final decision for the master, but the Holy Son of Qingyu is just the Holy Son of the Holy Land of Qingyu. Lu Chen said, disciple understands. Seeing that Lu Chen had realized so quickly, Emperor Taikang showed a hint of relief, and then he continued, when you return to the Holy Land of Qingyu in the future, try not to get close to that person. The Lord of Qingyu can do anything in order to survive. Lu Chen is so talented, Emperor Taikang is not sure if the Lord of Qingyu will think of using the method of taking over the body to attack Lu Chen. Although the general method of taking over the body is no longer useful to a 9-level emperor whose soul is approaching, the Lord of Qingyu has tried everything and doesn't care about trying it once more. Emperor Taikang didn't want to see such a good seedling as Lu Chen being harmed by the Lord of Qingyu. Lu Chen continued at this time, Master, I have a question that I am more curious. Emperor Taikang asked back, what's the question? Lu Chen said, the Shenyu dynasty attacked the Xia dynasty very early, and there had been a conflict between them. Why did the Shenyu dynasty allow the Xia dynasty to continue to expand? Emperor Taikang said, the Great Xia Dynasty is not so easy to deal with. The most important thing is that the barrier of the Great Xia Dynasty is too strong, and even the great emperors at the 9th level cannot break it. Lu Chen said, can you let the Great Xia Dynasty continue to expand like this? Emperor Taikang said lightly, there will always be a chance. This is not something we should worry about. Some people are more anxious than us. Emperor Shenwu is the person who wants to take that step the most. He will never allow his son to become the Emperor of Heaven before him, so Emperor Shenwu will definitely have some action next. As for what they did, Emperor Taikang was too lazy to care. Emperor Taikang was now all about seizing control of the Qingyu Holy Land and becoming the real master of the Qingyu Holy Land. Emperor Taikang is more conservative. He has read some records of ancient eras. After all, the Lord of Qingyu is a survivor who survived the last era. He knows a lot of things and brings a lot of ancient books from the last era to this era. Emperor Taikang learned from those ancient books that the existence of the land of the interchange of the era. Emperor Taikang's idea was that as long as he could preserve the Holy Land of Qingyu, they would immediately look for the land of the interchange of the era. There was no need to be in the great. Before the disaster began, too much manpower and material resources were consumed to start a war. But if you want to preserve the strength of the Qingyu Holy Land, you must first face a problem, that is, there is a restless person in the Qingyu Holy Land. Let's not talk about the fact that the Lord of Qingyu had a criminal record of using the Emperor of the Holy Land for experiments. The Lord of Qingyu is now approaching, so in order to survive, he will become even more crazy. The Lord of the Pure Land is an extremely unstable factor, and this factor must be solved. At this time, Lu Chen said, Disciple heard that Nirvana Holy Land has also formed an alliance with the Divine Moon Dynasty, and they have discovered a treasure that can help the 9-level Emperor break through and become the Emperor of Heaven. Are we not planning to enter the Outer Land to find this treasure at this time? Quote. Emperor Taikang said, this news has spread throughout the Central Star domain for a long time. How could the master not know? However, even the Tianji Tower did not take action, so there is no need for us to be too anxious. When the Tianji Tower and the Shenyu dynasty go to the outer realm, we will follow them. At this time, Emperor Taikong suddenly thought of something, and then continued, but then, if there were indeed treasures that could allow the 9-level realm to break through to the heavenly emperor realm, I am afraid that Emperor Shenwu and the Lord of Nirvana would have gone to the outer realm long ago. Wait until now. Speaking of this, Emperor Taikong fell into deep thought, and Lu Chen was also fell into deep thought at this time. When Emperor Taikong reminded him, Lu Chen reacted. If there was really a way to break through to the Emperor of Heaven, Emperor Shenwu would probably have gone to the outer realm long ago. How could he be so calm? When Emperor Taikong said this, Lu Chen also thought of this possibility at the same time. It is very likely that the news was released specifically for him. As for the purpose, it was to let him come out of the barrier of the Xia Dynasty. As long as his body goes to the outer realm, the top forces of the Divine Moon Dynasty will attack him. Emperor Taikong said, "This rumor is probably released on purpose by Tianji Tower. The purpose is to attract Lu Chen's master to the outer realm. Once Lu Chen's master has left the barrier of the Xia Dynasty and wants to deal with Lu Chen is much easier." Lu Chen said, "Master, will our Holy Land still go to the outer realm?" Emperor Taikong said, "We should go and see. The great catastrophe is approaching. If we can obtain several treasures from other worlds from the outside world, we will be more confident in fighting the great catastrophe at that time. As for whether the Shenyu Dynasty and Tianji Tower are planning to deal with the Xia Dynasty, this has nothing to do with us." Emperor Taikong has made up his mind not to get involved in the disputes between the Xia Dynasty and the Shenyu Dynasty. The matter of Qingyu Holy Land is enough for him to resolve. If he still wants to deal with the Xia Dynasty, then Qingyu Holy Land there is more to it. He just wanted to keep 1 acre of 3-point land in Qingyu Holy Land, and the other things had nothing to do with their Qingyu Holy Land. Lu Chen also heard from Emperor Taikong's words that Emperor Taikong didn't want to care about other people's affairs. If Emperor Taikong really thought so, then Emperor Taikong could win over him. End of this chapter. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 1207 I Can Use All the Power of the Great Way. Just as Emperor Taikong was about to continue to say something to Lu Chen, an emperor came to Emperor Taikong. "Son, we are ready, we can set off." Emperor Taikong said, "Okay, then let's go. Even if we don't really attack the Xia Dynasty, we can only get the nearby star domain where the Xia army is located." Then Emperor Taikong took the ferry boat warship from the Qingyu Holy Land to the Xia Dynasty. This time, they did not use the heavenly teleportation array, which would take at least several years, or even 10 years. But this cannot be blamed for them. Their Holy Land and Tianji building have no contact, and they cannot borrow the teleportation array of Tianji building like the Shenyu Dynasty, and then they can only let the immortal boat take them to the Xia Dynasty. After Emperor Taikong left the Red Rain world with the immortal boat from Qingyu Holy Land, Yun Qingshu finally breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, the Red Rain world, the new location of Xuanyu Palace. In the attic, Yun Qingshu sat upright on the soft couch, with cigarettes scattered in the room, like a fairyland. Yun Qingshu on the soft couch looked at the projection screen in the room, and the projection screen showed the immortals from the Holy Land of Qingyu. The boat is leaving the real-time picture of the Red Rain world. Yun Qingshu not only felt relieved, but even felt a little happy. Not only did the ferry boat from Qingyu Holy Land leave, but the man who harassed him was taken away. Lu Chen's clone has been staying in the Red Rain world, just like a fly, but she cannot attack Lu Chen casually. She always feels that if she hurts Lu Chen, she will be infected with any major cause and effect. Now that Lu Chen's clone has been taken away, no one has come to harass him now. However, just as Yun Qingshu was thinking this way, suddenly, she felt the breath of an emperor quickly approaching her attic. This emperor's aura was very violent, and it was obviously a killing emperor. The first thing Yun Qingshu thought of was the Shenwu Emperor, but she didn't understand how the Shenwu Emperor appeared in such a place. Although this is the central star field, it is a remote area of the central star field. It is a very big accident that the immortal boat warships in the Qingyu Holy Land will rest here. Emperor Shenwu can't come to this place to rest again. Yuan Qingshu immediately stood up from the soft couch and directly circulated the power of the Dao. Dao Yun instantly filled the entire attic. Just when Yuan Qingshu was ready to attack, he found a familiar figure appeared in her room. The person coming was Lu Chen. To be precise, it is Lu Chen's clone of the emperor. Feeling the great emperor's aura on Lu Chen's body, Yuan Qingshu frowned and asked, "Is it your master this time?" Lu Chen smiled and said, "This is also a clone." Yuan Qingshu then said coldly, "What are you doing? Could it be that you want to take me away with force?" Before, Lu Chen used the saint clone to monitor her, but now he directly asked the emperor clone to come, which forced her to doubt Lu Chen's motives. Lu Chen said, "What are you saying? I'm not the kind of person who is forced to do it. I'm here to protect you." Yuan Qingshu glanced at her expressionless face, then gently swung her long light blue sleeves, sat upright on the soft couch again, and continued to practice with her eyes closed, ignoring Lu Chen directly. Lu Chen continued, "The central star domain is getting more and more chaotic. You see, even if you are on the edge of the central star domain, you will still be affected by the war between those top holy places. If it weren't for the fact that the Qingyu Holy Land had no idea of going to war this time, I'm afraid the Red Rain world would have been destroyed. If the next time we come to other holy places, or the Divine Moon Dynasty, the Red Rain world will most likely be destroyed." Hearing Lu Chen's words, Yuan Qingshu, who closed his eyes and rested, said coldly, "Do you think I don't know what you are thinking? You said so much, but I just want me to go to the Great Xia Dynasty with you. I will remind you last. I will never be able to follow you to the Great Xia Dynasty. You'd better give up this heart. Don't think that the second body of this palace is your woman, you can do whatever you want in front of this palace." Yuan Qingshu found that Lu Chen was becoming more and more arrogant. Before, Lu Chen was just looking for a place to squat in the Red Rain world, and would not say that he came to harass him. Today, he actually ran to the place where he practiced. If he didn't warn him, he might be able to touch him next time. She had the memory of Yun Shenxian and knew very well what kind of man Lu Chen was. He would constantly test a woman's bottom line until he completely fooled the woman into bed. Seeing Yuan Qingshu resisting him so much, Lu Chen just smiled and then said, "If you think I'm in a way that's intruding you here, you can also attack me directly and drive me away." Seeing that Lu Chen was so thick-skinned, Yuan Qingshu frowned and didn't say anything more. The clone Lu Chen Lai exuded such a strong killing power. Although his clone was only at the first level of the emperor, it was not easy to kill an emperor at the first level. What's more, her intuition tells her that if she takes action against this man, she will be infected with great cause and effect. No matter from any aspect, she cannot attack Lu Chen. Now I can only let Lu Chen be arrogant and just ignore him. At this time, a semicircular barrier appeared around Yuan Qingshu, covering Yuan Qingshu's entire body. With this barrier, she could no longer hear Lu Chen's voice. Seeing that Yuan Qingshu had set up a barrier, Lu Chen stopped saying anything. Then he also found a place, sat down directly, and entered the meditation state. Anyway, Yuan Qingshu didn't rush him to leave, so his clone was here to guard him. As long as he found an opportunity, he would directly bring Yuan Qingshu back to Tianqian world. Yuan Qingshu, who was practicing, noticed that Lu Chen was sitting down in her room. He frowned and the cold air on his body was unstoppable. For a moment, the whole room was frozen and turned into an ice cave. But Lu Chen is also the emperor after all. The most important thing is that Lu Chen will all the power of the Great Way. This little ice power is nothing to Lu Chen. Even if the power of ice enters Lu Chen's body, Lu Chen will also it's the same as someone who's fine. In order to make Yuan Qingshu give up, Lu Chen began to circulate the power of the Great Dao and absorbed all the ice power released by Yuan Qingshu. The next moment, the ice in the entire attic dissipated. After feeling what happened in the room, Yuan Qingshu's beautiful eyes opened instantly, and a hint of doubt appeared in her eyes. Why was her ice power absorbed by Lu Chen? Didn't Lu Chen take the road of killing? Is it the power of killing? Can he absorb other powers? And looking at his appearance, he was like a person who was fine, as if the power of ice did not cause any discomfort to him. After Lu Chen sensed the expression on Yan Qingshu's face, he continued to close his eyes. He spoke lightly, "Don't waste your energy. I forgot to tell you that I can use all the power of the Great Way." Chapter 1208. You want to show off your appearance in front of those top forces. Yan Qingshu had only accepted Yan Shenxian's previous memories. After the two of them cut off their connection, she never used her spiritual sense to connect Yan Shenxian again, so she didn't know that Lu Chen could use all the power of the Great Way. After hearing Lu Chen say this, Yan Qingshu's cold face showed a look of surprise. Can a person use all the power of the Great Tao? Is this possible? Even in the last era, she had never heard of any emperor who could use more than 2 powers of the Great Way. She was able to use the power of the 2 Great Ways because she was a survivor of the last era, but even so, she did not dare to use the power of the 2 Great Ways at will. Soon Yan Qingshu realized that as a survivor of the last era, she could barely use the power of 2 Great Ways, and it didn't seem strange that Lu Chen could use the power of 2 Great Ways. As for what Lu Chen said that he could call all the power of the Great Tao, she obviously didn't believe it. Yan Qingshu ignored Lu Chen's words and closed his eyes directly and chose to continue practicing his own. Lu Chen also realized that Yan Qingshu did not believe his words. The next moment, Lu Chen mobilized the power of the sword, and countless sword shadows appeared in the room for a moment. The entire Xuanyu Palace's spiritual sword was trembling constantly, as if it was affected. What kind of summons are the same? Feeling the third power of the Great Way radiated from Lu Chen, Yan Qingshu's brows became more and more frowned. As a survivor of the last era, she could only barely mobilize the power of the 2 Great Way radiates, and Lu Chen can you actually use the power of 3 Great Ways so easily? Could it be that what he said is true? Just as Yan Qingshu was thinking this way, Lu Chen's body emitted countless green halos. After these green halos touched Yan Qingshu's body, Yan Qingshu suddenly felt that his soul was in the last era. The wound was gradually healed. Is this the power of life? Before Yan Qingshu could react, Lu Chen showed the power of other great roads. For a moment, Yan Qingshu's attic was filled with various great roads. Although these great powers were intertwined, there was no sign of conflict. These great powers gathered together to form a 7-color great power of the rainbow. Yan Qingshu couldn't stand it anymore and said directly, "Enough, you have to show off in front of those top forces." How could Yan Qingshu not see that? Lu Chen is just showing off his muscles in front of him, showing off his muscles, and showing how good or bad he is. Not to mention anything else, just being able to control so many powers of the Great Way, Lu Chen could not be an ordinary emperor. Now Yan Qingshu basically believes that Lu Chen is probably the reincarnation of the heavenly emperor. But even if Lu Chen is the reincarnation of the emperor of heaven, it has nothing to do with her. Her second body can stay by Lu Chen's side. Her main body will never fall into depravity like the second body. Seeing that Yan Qingshu was angry, Lu Chen immediately took back all the power of the Great Way, then opened his eyes and said with a smile, "I'm afraid you don't believe it, so I'll show it to you." Yan Qingshu no longer spoke too much. She found that saying more words to this man would make her heart fluctuate. This guy is very good at greedy. The best way is to ignore him. Seeing that Yan Qingshu didn't speak anymore, Lu Chen stopped harassing her. He closed his eyes again and began to practice. Several years passed in a blink of an eye. In spring, summer, autumn and winter, the pattern of the universe has been changing. Wars between major dynasties and major forces have become more and more, and the number of demons is getting more and more. Now no matter which dynasty it is, it has been attacked by the demons, and almost every force has suffered losses, but only the Great Xia Dynasty has not yet been able to enter the Great Xia Dynasty. This made the top forces in the universe increasingly want the formation of the Xia Dynasty. Unfortunately, the Shenyu Dynasty and Tianji Tower have been united for so many years, but they have not seen any action against the Xia Dynasty. However, the Qingyu Holy Land had already announced to the public that it would attack the Xia Dynasty. As a result, so many years have passed, the Qingyu Holy Land has not yet reached the frontline star domain. The immortal boat warships in the Qingyu Holy Land seem to be missing, and there is no news at all. The world of heaven, Heavenly Emperor Palace. Lu Chen sat on the dragon throne, looked at the projection in the hall, and said to the emperors in the hall, I have received the news that the Shenyu Dynasty and Tianji Tower are ready to go to the outer realm, and we must set off. Hearing this, Emperor Thunder immediately stood up and said, Your Majesty, not all emperors should go to the outer realm, right? Lu Chen said, I plan to keep 50 emperors down and continue to expand to the outside world. After Lu Chen finished speaking, the emperors in the hall looked at me and I looked at you. Obviously, they didn't want to stay. Although it seems that the expansion of territory has made great contributions, the Great Xia Dynasty has become the largest dynasty in the universe, and the Great Xia Dynasty does not lack star fields. Obviously, being by the Emperor of Heaven is more likely to be appreciated by the Emperor of Heaven and give more contributions, so the emperors all want to go to the outer realm. The most important thing is that there are various opportunities in the external world. In the past, some emperors did not dare to go to the external world alone, because there were many powerful people from the external world. They were not opponents of those strong people from the external world and could easily fall in the external world. But this time it is a group to go to the outer world, which is relatively safer. This is the best time for any emperor to go to the outer world. Lu Chen also saw the thoughts of these emperors in the hall, and then he said, anyone who is willing to take the initiative to stay and continue to expand territory for the Great Xia Dynasty. Hearing this question, the entire Heavenly Emperor Palace became quiet in an instant, and no one spoke after a while. Lu Chen said, it seems that you all want to go to the outer world. Just when Lu Chen was trying to say something, Emperor Thunder suddenly stood up and said, Your Majesty, I am willing to stay and continue to expand the territory for the Great Xia Dynasty. Hearing this, Lu Chen looked at the Thunder Emperor and then asked, You don't want to go to the outer realm? Emperor Thunder said, I think, but someone will always stay and expand his territory for His Majesty. After the Thunder Emperor finished speaking, all the men of the Thunder Emperor stood up. Your Majesty, we are also willing to stay to add a wider star area to the Great Xia Dynasty and make the Great Xia Dynasty's fortune stronger. Seeing so many emperors standing up, those emperors who wanted to go to the foreign domain also stood up. For a moment, almost all the emperors expressed their willingness to stay and continue to expand the territory for the Great Xia Dynasty. However, there was only one person in the hall standing in place without saying anything, as if he hadn't seen all this. This person is naturally the Queen Tianong. She must go to the outer realm, and the outer realm is the most suitable battlefield for her. Lu Chen glanced at the emperors in the hall and said, if they stay, then who will protect me? Forget it, you can draw lots. Chapter 1209. It seems that there are many secrets in this place in the outer world. Lu Chen also knew that the emperors present wanted to go to the outer realm, but it was impossible for them to go all of them. They took the initiative to stand up and said they stayed, but in fact they saw that others had stood up. If they didn't stand up, they would be disloyal. They are all for showing loyalty, but in this way, he can only arrange those people to go to the foreign land with him. For Lu Chen, no matter who follows him to the outer realm, it is actually the same. They are all equivalent to his tools to become stronger. The biggest function of these emperors is to become a member of the spirit gathering array and then provide him with strength. Since that's the case, then draw lots and go whoever you draw. After Lu Chen finished speaking, the emperors present said, we will obey the arrangements of the Emperor of Heaven. Lu Chen didn't say nonsense either. He waved his hand and used his spiritual power to create a projection for lottery draw. All the emperor's avatars were on the projection. Whoever had his avatars framed would go with him to the outer realm. Immediately afterwards, the avatars of the emperor on the projection began to flash, and in a moment, the avatars were locked. Seeing that his avatar was not selected, Emperor Thunder sighed in his heart. Although he was the first to stand up and say he wanted to stay and expand the territory for the Great Xia Dynasty, when Lu Chen talked about the lottery, he in fact, I also hope that I can be selected and go to the foreign domain with Lu Chen. But since the lottery results have been decided, there is nothing we can do about it. Lu Chen glanced at the results of the lottery, and then said, okay, the above people followed me to the outer realm, and the rest will stay in the Xia Dynasty to lead the Zonlong army to continue to expand to the outside world. Today's meeting is over. We will prepare for the imperial capital in the outer realm. We will follow me to the outer realm in a month. After the words came, Lu Chen's body disappeared. After Lu Chen left, some of the emperors in the hall were excited and some were dejected. The chosen emperors were very excited, while the emperors who remained in the Great Xia Dynasty had a sad expression on their faces. At this time, Empress Tianong passed by among the great emperors, without any expression on her face. After feeling the aura of Empress Tianong, the emperors in the hall quieted down. When Empress Tianong left the hall, the emperors in the hall were all the same. Only then did the discussion start again. As soon as Empress Tianong left the Heavenly Emperor's palace, she felt a force pulling herself into the space channel. In the Xia Dynasty, the only one who could have such power was that man. Empress Tianong did not resist at all and let her go. Lu Chen pulled her into her bedroom. When Empress Tianong returned to her bedroom, she saw Lu Chen lying on her soft couch, pillowing her head with one hand, looking at the red and noble curtain tent. Empress Tianong asked indifferently, "What's the matter?" Lu Chen was so anxious to pull her over. Something must be wrong. Lu Chen turned his head to look at the Queen Tianong in the room, and then said, "You should be very familiar with the outside world, right?" The outer realm only appeared in this life, and Lu Chen had never heard of any outer realm in his previous life. Lu Chen thought that before Empress Tianong died, she should have a good understanding of the foreign land. She could just ask her to find out what the foreign land was like. Then she would not know nothing when she entered the foreign land. After Lu Chen finished speaking, he gently slapped his hand. The next moment, Empress Tianong's body flew uncontrollably to the soft couch and into Lu Chen's arms. The killing power on the Queen Tianong suddenly rushed out, but Lu Chen himself could control the killing power. This killing power could not hurt Lu Chen at all. Lu Chen directly killed the killing power on the Queen Tianong. The power was absorbed, and then he turned over and pressed the noble body of Empress Tianong under him. Empress Tianong looked at Lu Chen with her red eyes. "Ask if you ask about things, don't touch me." Lu Chen smiled and said, "You can ask questions or touch your hands and feet without conflict." After the words came, Empress Tianong heard a hissing. Empress Tianong's face became even colder, and this man was becoming more and more presumptuous. Before Empress Tianong could do anything, Lu Chen leaned directly down and then asked in her ear, "I am very curious about those people from other worlds. You should have fought with those people in the past, right? How are their strength?" Lu Chen asked, and began to move. Empress Tianong was too lazy to pay attention to Lu Chen's offense. Anyway, Lu Chen offended her more than once, and then she replied, "I've fought, it's very strong." Lu Chen said, "Is there any difference between the power used by those people in other worlds and us?" Empress Tianong replied, "There is no difference." Lu Chen thought to himself that the laws of the other world are different. Why did they use the same power as us? Lu Chen continued to ask, "Is there any demon in the outer realm?" Empress Tianong said lightly, "Yes." Empress Tianong's answers were very short. In this state, it was good for her to answer Lu Chen's questions. She didn't want to talk to this guy now. Lu Chen continued to ask, "Then have you seen those people from other worlds enter the outer world's passage?" Empress Tianong, "No." Lu Chen fell into a moment of silence, just busy. After a while, Lu Chen said, "Have you ever encountered something or person in the foreign land that impressed you?" Empress Tianong was about to say nothing, but suddenly thought of something, and then said, "I met a person from another world. He once said something to me." Lu Chen asked curiously, "What do you mean?" If it could impress Empress Tianong, Lu Chen was very curious. Empress Tianong replied directly, "That person said you are just food for chaos beasts, and they actually helped chaos beasts slaughter the same clan." Hearing this, Lu Chen was slightly stunned. The food of chaos beast. The same clan. What is the chaos beast? That person from another world said that Empress Tianong helped the chaos beast slaughter the same clan. In that context, the so-called same clan refers to those people from another world. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. People from other worlds actually say that Empress Tianong is their same clan. What's going on? Lu Chen remained silent again, but his subconscious action. After a while, Empress Tianong suddenly used the Xuanvi gong, and Lu Chen came to his senses. He breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Those people from other worlds think you are in their own tribe. Could it be because you look the same as them, so they think you are also from other worlds?" Empress Tianong said coldly, "I don't know." He really didn't know why those people from other worlds said that, but she was not particularly concerned about it, but I have to say that the words of the people from other worlds really impressed her. What she was most curious about was the chaos beast in the human mouth. Why did that person from another world think that he helped the chaos beast slaughter the same clan? She hadn't even heard of any chaos beast. Lu Chen thought to himself that it seems that there are many secrets in the outer world. This trip to the outer world may be able to find some information related to the system or the reincarnation stone. End of this chapter. Chapter 12 Ten Hong Hong. Thanks to you this time. After listening to Empress Tianong's words, Lu Chen was increasingly looking forward to his trip to the outside world. Like Empress Tianong, he also cared about the Chaos Beast very much, and he had never heard of any Chaos Beast. From the people in the other world, we know that in the eyes of those people in the other world, the people in their universe are probably the minions of the Chaos Beast. So the people from another world who fought against Empress Tianong didn't understand why these humans were standing on the side of the so-called Chaos Beast. Lu Chen was moving while thinking, what kind of creature is this Chaos Beast? He searched for his known memories, but still had no clue at all. There was indeed no so-called Chaos Beast in this universe. Could it be that those people from other worlds are talking about demons? Forget it, I still don't want to have so many things. When I arrive in the foreign domain, I will catch a person from another domain to ask. Thinking of this, Lu Chen did not continue to think about it and began to be busy with his important business. Seeing that Lu Chen no longer asked his questions, but instead focused on doing things, Empress Tianong's blushing cheeks became even colder. This dog asked me to ask about things, but after all, I asked these few questions, so I won't ask now. What questions are asked, it is clearly what I think about. Forget it, they are all children. He can do whatever he wants. Empress Tianong did not care much about Lu Chen, and later used Xuanvi's skills to oppress Lu Chen in various ways. A month passed quickly. Just as he was about to leave the Great Xia Dynasty and head for the outer realm, Lu Chen suddenly found that the bottleneck of his realm was loose. This surprised Lu Chen. The Great Xia Dynasty had expanded such a large territory and accumulated such a strong fortune, but his realm had not been loosened at all during this period. Unexpectedly, after quarreling Empress Tianong before heading to the outer realm, the realm actually loosened. It seems that the matter of breaking through this realm is really unhurried. Let it go naturally, but it can break through faster. At this moment, in the palace of the Tianong Empress, the Tianong Empress felt the soaring momentum of Lu Chen's body, and her face suddenly became extremely serious. This dog man actually broke through at this time. Now the realm of the two of them has become the same again. No, after going to the outer realm this time, she must start a massacre and strive to make her realm surpass Lu Chen again. Although she has no way to deal with Lu Chen because of the existence of the artifact spirit contract, at least she can feel a little pleasure when she is overwhelmed by Lu Chen at the realm. If she is not even as good as Lu Chen, she will feel even more uncomfortable. As an empress with a strong personality, she will definitely not allow her strength to be lower than that of Lu Chen, a dog man. Lu Chen looked down at Empress Tianong at this time, and said with a smile, "Hong Hong, thanks to you this time, I was able to break through the 6th level of the Emperor in such a short time. I have to say that your Xuanvi skills are the best among all my women." Empress Tianong stared at Lu Chen coldly and didn't say anything. Lu Chen continued, "It's almost time, it's time for us to set off." While talking, Lu Chen slowly stood up. After seeing Lu Chen get up, Empress Tianong asked curiously, "Your main body is going?" Lu Chen's main body is already at the 6th level, and the spirit gathering formation has no negative effect on Lu Chen. As long as Lu Chen's main body enters the outer realm, basically no one is his opponent. Lu Chen said, no. After he broke through just now, he found that his soul could control another clone, but Lu Chen was still a little worried. If his clone leaves the outer realm, will he be controlled by himself? His clone is different from other clones. His clone is more of a puppet, and all clones are controlled by the same soul at the same time. He can do this in this universe, but the outer world seems to be no longer considered this universe. If the clone enters the outer world and directly disconnects from his soul, the clone will have no effect and can only be regarded as a corpse. Lu Chen first planned to ignore this. When he went to the outer realm, he would know whether he could do it. If he went to the outer realm, he could not control it. Then he would split a wisp of soul to create a real clone to go to the outer realm instead of him. The most important thing now is to create a new clone. After he broke through just now, he found that his soul had become much stronger again, and now he should be able to control a more powerful clone at the same time. At this time, Lu Chen mobilized the power of creation and generated a body of the Great Emperor out of thin air. The realm of the Great Emperor's body reached the 4th level. Feeling the 4th level of the aura emitted from this body, Empress Tianong always felt uncomfortable. She knew very well that Lu Chen's clone was different from other people's clones. Even if Lu Chen's clones died, they would not damage Lu Chen's soul, and it was no different from puppets. In the case of Lu Chen, the body can rely on the clone to consume the enemy to death if it hides. Empress Tianong asked at this time, "Can you teach me your puppet technique?" Empress Tianong didn't know that Lu Chen's creation clone used the power of creation. She thought this was a higher-level puppet technique used by Lu Chen. Lu Chen had taught her the holy-level puppet technique before. However, the effect of puppet technology is completely different in the hands of different people. Although the puppets she created can also be controlled from a long distance, it cannot be as vivid as Lu Chen, and even feels that it can be directly transmitted to the soul. Lu Chen smiled and said, "This is not a puppet technique. This is the magical power I created based on puppet technique. I need to use the power of creation. You are following the way of killing and you will not be able to learn it." After hearing Lu Chen's words, Empress Tianong didn't say more. She did not doubt whether Lu Chen was lying to herself. Such a magic trick should not be able to be used by anyone. If everyone knows Lu Chen's magic, then wouldn't this universe be overwhelming? After Lu Chen finished speaking, his 4th-level physical body began to move. With a wave of his hand, he wore a black and golden dragon robe, and then Lu Chen walked out of the bedroom of Empress Tianong. After Lu Chen's clone left, the main body also disappeared. Seeing that Lu Chen's 2 physical bodies had left, Empress Tianong shouted coldly. Lu Chen has become more and more utilitarian when he comes to her. He has to comfort her after finishing her work, or take a shower together or something. Although they are the body of the Great Emperor and only need one magic to make their whole body clean and free of any filth, the main purpose of bathing is not to wash the body, but to cultivate emotions. In the past, Lu Chen would still do these things, but now Lu Chen lifted his pants and left. Empress Tianong didn't think much about it, just leave after she left, and she didn't need Lu Chen to develop any relationship with her. Then Empress Tianong also got up from the soft couch, waved her hand, and a phoenix robe with golden silk and red bottom appeared on her. Immediately afterwards, she also left the bedroom and headed to the Heavenly Emperor Palace. End of this chapter. I suspect that I am not from this universe. When Lu Chen arrived at the Heavenly Emperor Palace, all the emperors who were going to the outer realm had already arrived. Lu Chen glanced at the emperors present, and then asked, "How many of you have been to the outer realm before? Please raise your hands." Then 10 emperors in the crowd raised their hands. Lu Chen glanced at them and said, "Surprisingly, there are a few." There were nearly 100 emperors, but only 10 of them had been to the outer realm. Lu Chen thought that most of the emperors had been to the outer realm. But it doesn't matter, as long as the Tianong Empress leads the way, the Tianong Empress should be very familiar with the outer realm. Lu Chen continued, "Now start to divide into groups. Those of you who have been to the outer realm will serve as captains. There are 10 people in a team. After entering the outer realm, everyone else must listen to the captain. Hearing this, the 10 emperors who had been to the outer realm were immediately very excited. They didn't expect that they would be entrusted with important tasks by Lu Chen just because they had been to the outer realm. Although it was only a temporary captain, the position of captain obviously gave them more opportunities to perform in front of Lu Chen. Then, the emperors in the hall began to divide into groups, and soon they were divided into 10 groups. After seeing that they had been divided into groups, Lu Chen said, "Okay, let's go." After the voice fell, more than 100 emperors in the hall left the Tiandi Hall and came to the Holy Star Destroyer outside the Tiandi Hall. During this trip to the outer domain, the Great Xia Dynasty dispatched more than 100 Holy Star Destroyers, and each emperor was in charge of one. Now the number of Holy Star Destroyers in the Great Xia Dynasty is about to exceed 500. With the continuous expansion of the Great Xia Dynasty, the Great Xia Dynasty has more and more resources, and the manufacturing speed of Star Destroyers has also been significantly improved. The more than 100 Holy Star Destroyers that Lu Chen took away will not affect the external expansion of the Great Xia Dynasty at all. At this moment, Central Star Region. The Central Star Region has been very lively this month. All the top forces are mobilizing troops. The top forces of the 4 major forces, Shenyu Dynasty, Tianji Tower, Nirvana Holy Land, and Yunhua Palace, have basically gathered. When people saw the 4 major forces gathering, they thought they were preparing to attack the Great Xia Dynasty. Later, the Tianji Tower released news that a treasure that could allow the 9-layered realm emperor to break through to the heavenly emperor realm appeared in the outer domain. The 4 major forces planned to join forces to go to the outer domain to find this treasure. If other forces are interested, they can also join them. After hearing the news announced by the Tianji Tower, some old-fashioned holy places also chose to join the Tianji Tower team and plan to go to the outer domain together. That is a treasure that can allow the 9-layered realm emperor to take that step. Almost no 9-layered realm emperor can resist the temptation. The most important thing is that this news was released by the Tianji Tower. The status of the Tianji Tower in the universe is unquestionable. When the Tianji girl was still in the Tianji Tower, she left people with an impression that the Tianji Tower knew everything. Even though the Tianji girl has left the Tianji Tower now, people still think that the Tianji Tower knows everything. In people's eyes, Tianji girl, the former second in command of Tianji Tower, has such a high deduction skill, so it goes without saying how powerful the owner of Tianji Tower is, so most emperors believe the news released by Tianji Tower. Of course, some emperors, even if they believe it, do not plan to follow Tianji Tower to the outer domain, including Yun Qingshu. Hongyu World. Yun Qingshu's residence. Yun Qingshu still sits on the couch, closes his eyes and practices, and the shameless man also closes his eyes and practices in the distance. These days, many Foss's immortal boats pass by Hongyu World, but these immortal boats are all for joining the team of Tianji Tower. The emperors on the immortal boats are at most just resting in Hongyu World and have not caused any trouble. The goal of those forces is the treasure that is rumored to allow the emperor of the 9th level to break through to the emperor realm. Before reaching the outer domain, they don't want to cause any trouble. If they lose people before reaching the outer domain, they will have nothing to do with snatching treasures. During this period, the entire universe has become more harmonious, and all major forces are conserving their strength. Lu Chen opened his eyes at this time, glanced at Yun Qingshu, who was emitting a cold aura, and asked, "They are all thinking about competing for the treasure that is rumored to be able to break through and become the Emperor of Heaven, why don't you go? You are not interested in this kind of treasure." Yun Qingshu ignored Lu Chen's words. She didn't want to talk to this shameless man now. Lu Chen continued, "Or join my fleet. I have also sent 100 emperors to the outer domain." Yun Qingshu said at this time, "No need." What surprised Yun Qingshu was that Lu Chen actually planned to go to the outer domain. Lu Chen was not the so-called reincarnation of the Emperor of Heaven, so what attraction did this treasure have for him? It seems that his so-called reincarnation of the Emperor of Heaven is also unworthy of the name. Thinking of this, Yun Qingshu asked. Aren't you afraid that this is a trap? Lu Chen smiled and asked, what trap? Yun Qingshu remained silent. Seeing Yun Qingshu was silent again, Lu Chen said, I have also wondered if this is a trap set against me, but even if it is, it doesn't matter. It just so happens that there are many things that I need to go to the outer domain to verify in person. Maybe this is the key to breaking the reincarnation cycle. Reincarnation. Yun Qingshu was a little confused after hearing these two words. Lu Chen said, I told you before that the woman in this life was actually my woman in the previous life. In fact, I have reincarnated not once or twice, but countless times. All the memories of reincarnation have been sealed up. After each reincarnation, my memory will be sealed. In the next life, I will spend a lot of time and energy for the memory of the previous life. As a result, the previous memories have been sealed, which has caused me to be unable to find the original memory. This makes me have to reincarnate with the era of this universe. Hearing Lu Chen's words, Yun Qingshu was extremely shocked. Reincarnated countless times. Someone reincarnated countless times in the destruction and rebirth of the universe era. If what Lu Chen said is true, then Lu Chen is too pathetic. After she experienced the last era catastrophe, she didn't want to experience the fear of facing death again, and Lu Chen actually experienced it countless times. Of course, the premise is that what Lu Chen said is true. But then again, she can feel that Lu Chen doesn't seem to be lying this time. Lu Chen continued, I suspect that I am not from this universe. I just fell into this universe for some reason and was trapped in this universe. As Lu Chen's realm became higher and higher, Lu Chen also had a strong sense of restraint. He always felt that something was suppressing his power. In addition, after he listened to what Empress Tianong told him about the outside world, he felt more and more that he should not be from this universe, but from the same place as those people from other worlds. As for what the Chaos Beast is, he has not figured it out yet, but he believes that he will find the answer during this trip to the outside world. End of this chapter. The fluctuation of the original power. Listening to Lu Chen's inference, Yun Qingshu didn't say anything, and she didn't know what to say. In her memory, she was reincarnated once. Once, after surviving the catastrophe of the last era, she came to this world and was forced to reincarnate in order to adapt to the laws of the universe in the new era. In her memory, she didn't remember any relationship with a man she had with before, and even in her memory of the last era, Lu Chen was not the same person. Lu Chen was watching Yun Qingshu, who was still closed with his eyes. This life should be the closest I have to break the cycle of reincarnation, so as long as it is a woman who has had various connections with me in the previous life, I will take it away, including you. Hearing Lu Chen's tough words, Yun Qingshu's smooth and white forehead wrinkled slightly. Judging from what this said, the man was determined to sleep with her. Yun Qingshu said, even if what you said is true, I will not be able to follow you until I have recovered my memories of you. This time, Yun Qingshu didn't say anything to death because she really felt that Lu Chen's words were true. She might have had a love relationship with Lu Chen for a lifetime or many lifetimes, but her memory was sealed. I don't know it myself. But even if it is true, before those memories are restored, she is still the same as her now. She cannot practice both Lu Chen for those possible memories. Hearing Yun Qingshu's words, Lu Chen's mouth raised slightly. So, as long as you recover some memories about me, will you take the initiative to go to the Great Xia Dynasty with me? Yun Qingshu did not answer. If what Lu Chen said was true, then following Lu Chen was indeed the best choice. Perhaps she is not a person from this universe. If she wants to completely escape the great disaster of the universe era, she may have to leave this universe. I thought so, but she would definitely not say it out loud, letting this thick-skinned man know what she thought, and I don't know how arrogant he is. Yun Qingshu asked at this time, are you going to the main body? Lu Chen smiled and said, are you caring about me? Yun Qingshu didn't say anything, just felt that Lu Chen was thick-skinned. Seeing Yun Qingshu having a cold face, Lu Chen continued, how could I let the master go? I will let a clone in the 4th level of the realm lead the team. Yun Qingshu asked, There are many emperors from the 9th-level realm going to the outer realm. Do you think your 4th-level realm clone is their opponent? Lu Chen said, I control all the power of the Great Way and can use the spirit gathering array. The 100 emperors I brought with me can give me the power of the Heavenly Emperor in an instant, or even surpass the Heavenly Emperor. When Yan Qingshu heard Lu Chen's words, he was stunned. Can he still do this? But if you think about it carefully, this is indeed feasible. Lu Chen has shown his abilities in front of her before, and he is indeed controlling all the power of the Great Way. The reason why the Spirit Gathering Array cannot exist forever is that the Emperor, who is the heart of the formation, cannot balance the power of the Great Way in his body, but if the Emperor, who is the heart of the formation, is a person who can control all the power of the Great Way, the Spirit Gathering Array will bring it. The increase in strength will be very terrifying. This man is such a pervert. It feels incredible to think about it now. She actually had an entanglement with such a perverted man. At this moment, a strange power fluctuation suddenly swept across them, and Lu Chen instantly realized that this power was the power of the origin. After Yan Qingshu sensed this power, her beautiful eyes that had been closed were also opened at this moment. She looked at Lu Chen, and the expression on Lu Chen's face seemed a little serious. Obviously she noticed something. Yan Qingshu and Lu Chen were different. Lu Chen knew that it was the power of the origin, but Yan Qingshu just felt a strange power sweeping through his body, and he didn't know what kind of power it was. Yan Qingshu asked, did you notice it too? Lu Chen said, and then said, I don't know who it is, but he can actually cause such a tremendous fluctuation of the original power. The original power just now spread towards all directions of the universe like a wave of water. It could trigger such a magnificent wave of original power. It was hard for Lu Chen to imagine how powerful that person was. At this time, Lu Chen's face became more and more serious. He doubted whether someone had become the Emperor of Heaven, which caused this kind of wave of original power. Hearing Lu Chen's words, Yan Qingshu's brow also frowned slightly. The power of the origin. Is that the power of the origin just now? Yan Qingshu never took that step and did not know the power of the origin, but she also knew that the power of the origin is the supreme power of the universe, and all the power of this universe comes from the power of the origin. If it can cause such a degree of fluctuation of the original power, what must have happened? It would be fine if it happened naturally in the universe. If it was man-made, it means that the person who caused all this may have become the Emperor of Heaven, because only the Emperor of Heaven has such a tremendous power of origin. Lu Chen stood up and flew into the void at this time, and Yan Qingshu also followed Lu Chen to the outside of the Red Rain World. At this time, the immortal boat outside the Red Rain World was flying towards the core area of the Central Star Field. Lu Chen came to a wandering cultivator emperor and asked curiously, fellow Taoist, do you know what happened just now? Quote. The emperor glanced at Lu Chen and said with some dissatisfaction, what are you stopping me from doing? Don't you know that the owner of Tianji Tower has opened a direct passage to the outer domain? Now everyone is rushing to the outer domain. Get out of the way, don't waste my time. After the words fell, the emperor bypassed Lu Chen and headed straight for the core area of the Central Star Field. Lu Chen was stunned. Was the fluctuation of the original power just now caused by the owner of the Tianji Tower? Is the owner of the Tianji Tower so powerful? Could he be a heavenly emperor? While Lu Chen was wondering about this question, the 9-layer emperors around Xuantian were also doubting Xuantian's true realm. Central Star Field, core area. In the void of the core area, there is a giant black hole of 3 light years. This black hole is the channel that Xuantian created just now to the outer domain. Originally, they needed to cross the universe to reach the cosmic crack at the edge of the universe to go to the outer domain. The universe is very large, and it takes at least 100 years to reach that cosmic crack. And Xuantian actually directly built a transmission channel to the outer domain. The most important thing is that as long as the 9-layer emperors present, they all sense the original power at the moment Xuantian made a move. The 9th level realm is only one step away from becoming a heavenly emperor. When they practice normally, they will feel a trace of the original power, but they can only sense it and cannot call it. And Xuantian actually called such a majestic original power directly. At this moment, in front of the transmission channel of the outer domain, the 9th-level realm emperors of the top forces were not in a hurry to enter the outer domain. They looked at Xuantian above the Tianji Palace with a strange look. Especially the Shenwu Emperor. A hint of murderous intent flashed in the eyes of the Shenwu Emperor, and his fists clenched unconsciously, and the killing power in his body could not help but be released. End of this chapter. You shouldn't an amp, X27, T-Mind, right. U003C, INS, U003E. The Emperor Shenwu had approached the realm of the Emperor of Heaven countless times, and he was more sensitive to the power of origin than the average Emperor of the 9th layer. The power of origin released by Xuantian just now was obviously not something that a 9-layer Emperor could release, it was a power that only the Emperor of Heaven could control. In other words, Xuantian was a heavenly Emperor. In other words, they were probably all deceived by Xuantian. Xuantian himself was the Emperor of Heaven. It was not a simple matter for him to deal with Lu Chen. Did he need to make so many arrangements? Xuantian might have other purposes for doing this. But then again, why did Xuantian show his strength at this time? Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. This operation of Xuantian made the Emperor Shenwu a little confused. But no matter what Xuantian did, the Emperor Shenwu had already regarded Xuantian as an enemy that must be killed. If Xuantian was the real Emperor of Heaven, and this universe could only give birth to one Emperor of Heaven, then if he, the Emperor Shenwu, wanted to take that step to become the new Emperor of Heaven, he had to solve Xuantian. For the current Emperor Shenwu, whether Lu Chen was killed or not was secondary. Getting rid of Xuantian was what he wanted to do most at the moment. But it was obviously unrealistic for him, a 9th-level Emperor, to confront a heavenly Emperor head-on. He could only think of another way. Perhaps after going to the foreign land, he could get rid of him with the help of those people from other worlds. Thinking of this, Emperor Shenwu tried to calm the restless killing power in his body. Now is not the time to turn against each other. At this time, Xuantian glanced at the 9th-level emperors who were looking at him and asked, "Why are you looking at me like this?" None of the 9th-level emperors present spoke. At this time, Xuantian continued, "I forgot to tell you that the heavenly secret hall below me is the treasure I got from the foreign land that year. With this heavenly secret hall, you can temporarily use the original power that only the heavenly emperor can use." Hearing this explanation, the 9th-level emperors suddenly realized. So that's how it is. They said that a heavenly emperor appeared in this universe without anyone noticing. According to the records handed down from the ancient era, when the heavenly emperor was born, the whole universe would feel the pressure of the heavenly emperor. It turned out to be just a magic weapon. Almost all the 9-layer realm great emperors believed Xuantian's words. For them, they had to believe it even if they didn't believe it. After all, there could only be one heavenly emperor in a universe. If Xuantian was the heavenly emperor, then the universe would not have a second heavenly emperor, and the 9-layer realm great emperors would never be able to take that step. But at this moment, there was one person who didn't believe Xuantian's words at all, that was the Emperor Shenwu. In the eyes of the Emperor Shenwu, the original power just now was obviously pouring out from Xuantian's body, and had nothing to do with the Tianji Palace under Xuantian's feet. But the Emperor Shenwu was too lazy to expose Xuantian. He wanted to see what Xuantian was planning. At this time, Xuantian continued to say, "Okay, the transmission channel has been built. Those who want to go to the outer domain can go directly." After Xuantian finished speaking, no force went first. On the one hand, this transmission channel was built by Tianji Tower, and the immortal boat of Tianji Tower should go first. On the other hand, some emperors still doubted the stability of this transmission channel. This kind of transmission channel directly leading to the outer domain was the first time they encountered it, and no one knew whether this transmission channel was stable. Seeing that no force dared to enter the transmission channel first, Xuantian stopped wasting saliva, and he directly controlled Tianji Hall to fly towards the black hole in the distance. In a moment, the immortal boats of Tianji Hall and Tianji Tower disappeared in the black hole. Seeing that Tianji Tower had entered the transmission channel, the immortal boats of other forces entered the transmission channel built by Xuantian. After Emperor Shenwu came to the black hole, he hesitated for a moment, and finally chose to enter the black hole. He believed that Xuantian's real layout was in the outer domain, and it was impossible for them to set a trap now. In a moment, the immortal boats of the major top forces in the Central Star region disappeared into the black hole. At the same time, in the Red Rain world, Red Maple Valley. Originally, Lu Chen did not intend to expose this place, but his fleet had to rush to the Central Star region as quickly as possible, so he could only use the Saint-level teleportation array. At this time, Yun Qingshu had returned to her attic to practice, but as soon as she closed her eyes, she noticed that a strange emperor's aura suddenly appeared in the Red Rain world, and this emperor appeared suddenly without any signs. Yun Qingshu frowned. What was going on with this emperor? When she came to the Red Rain world, she had already explored the Red Rain world clearly. There was no aura of any emperor in the Red Rain world, and no emperor was in seclusion here. How could there be an emperor now? Could it be that it was another clone of that man? Thinking of this possibility, Yun Qingshu did not even open his eyes and planned to ignore the emperor. But the next moment, another emperor's aura appeared in the Red Rain world, and this emperor appeared in the same place as the previous emperor. Yun Qingshu felt something was wrong. She opened her beautiful eyes and used her spiritual sense to explore the location where the emperor appeared. As soon as she released her spiritual sense, she found that more and more emperors appeared. In a moment, dozens of emperors appeared in that place, and there were also many immortal boats. Yun Qingshu's face darkened instantly. She immediately understood what was going on, because she found Lu Chen's breath among those emperors. Obviously, those emperors were all from the Great Xia Dynasty. The next moment, Yun Qingshu's body disappeared on the spot, and when it reappeared, it was already above the Red Maple Valley. Seeing the huge teleportation formation below the Red Maple Valley, Yun Qingshu couldn't help but raging around with the coldness on her body. She didn't even know that Lu Chen had built such a large formation in the Red Maple Valley. Judging from the speed of the teleportation emperor of this teleportation formation, the level of this teleportation formation is not lower than those of the Tianji Tower's Tianji teleportation formations. The higher the level of the teleportation formation, the faster the transmission speed and the longer the transmission distance. If this teleportation formation is higher than the Tianji Tower's Tianji teleportation formation, then the transmission distance of this teleportation formation is unknown. The heaven-level teleportation array can teleport to the nearby superstar region. If the level of this teleportation array is higher than that of the heaven-level teleportation array, wouldn't it be possible to teleport half the universe? Doesn't that mean that people from the Great Xia Dynasty can directly reach the Red Rain world? What's the difference between this and the Great Xia Dynasty building the National Gate in the Red Rain world? Yun Qingshu glanced at Lu Chen who was directing, and then flashed to Lu Chen's side. Feeling the cold air coming from his side, Lu Chen turned his head to look at Yun Qingshu and asked with a smile, "Why are you here?" Yun Qingshu stared at Lu Chen coldly without speaking, as if asking Lu Chen to give her an explanation. Lu Chen continued, "It's too far from the Great Xia Dynasty to the Central Star region. I'm afraid I can't catch up, so I built a teleportation array here. You shouldn't mind, right?" End of this chapter. U003C ends U003E. The clone explores the way. U003C ends U003E. Yun Qingshu ignored Lu Chen's words and asked coldly, "What level is your teleportation array?" Lu Chen said, "Holy level." The cold air in Yun Qingshu's body suddenly jumped, and then some black and purple gas was emitted from her body. Saint level. In other words, Lu Chen really regarded the Red Rain world as the national gate of the Great Xia Dynasty. Yun Qingshu said with a cold face, "It will be removed immediately after the teleportation." Lu Chen said, "What are you doing if you demolish it?" "When we come back from the outer realm, we will return to the Great Xia Dynasty from here." Yun Qingshu was about to say something when she suddenly felt a crisis appear, and the aura made her feel very uncomfortable. The next moment, a woman wearing a red dress and radiating blood came out of the teleportation array step by step. The woman walked in the air and walked towards the central star field. Seeing the figure of the woman, Yun Qingshu frowned slightly. Kill the emperor, and he was also the emperor of Kill the Emperor of the 6th level. Although she had long heard that the Great Xia Dynasty had a high-level killing emperor, the first time she met it was still very shocking. Although she survived from the last era and could barely use the power of the 2 great ways, she still had no chance of winning when facing the killing emperor at the same level. Just as the Empress Tianong was about to leave the Red Rain world, she turned her head slightly and looked at Yun Qingshu and Lu Chen. Her eyes swept back and forth on Yun Qingshu's body, and she couldn't help but sneer in her heart. This dog man really has no shortage of women wherever he goes. Empress Tianong didn't pay much attention to it, and then she turned her head and continued to move towards the central star field. After Empress Tianong's figure disappeared from the Red Rain world, Yun Qingshu breathed a sigh of relief. The oppression of killing the emperor was indeed a bit terrifying, especially the woman's look back, which made her see the sea of corpses and blood. Yun Qingshu thought to himself, could the woman was warning her just now? After thinking of this possibility, Yun Qingshu was too lazy to take care of Lu Chen anymore. If Lu Chen wanted to build a teleportation array, she would not be able to go to the Great Xia Dynasty. Yun Qingshu didn't say much, then moved a space and returned to his attic to continue meditating and practicing. Soon, the outer exploration fleet of the Great Xia Dynasty teleported all from the Holy Level teleportation array to the central star domain. At this time, a clone of Lu Chen's emperor had already gone to the outer teleportation channel created by Xuantian. Seeing the huge black hole not far away and the original power to maintain the operation of the black hole, Lu Chen thought to himself that Xuantian might really be a heavenly emperor. At this time, Lu Chen found that there were still some emperors near the black hole that had not entered the teleportation channel. He came to a wandering cultivator and asked curiously, "Why don't fellow Taoists go in?" The emperor sighed and said, "The outer realm is too dangerous, not to mention that I am only at the 6th level. Not to mention breaking through to the heavenly emperor realm, I am afraid that I can't even reach the 9th level in this life. I'm going to find some magic weapon to break through to the heavenly emperor." U003C, INS, U003E. Lu Chen took a look at the other wandering cultivators again. Those wandering cultivators had relatively low cultivation levels. It is estimated that they all had the same idea as this wandering cultivator. It is normal for them to not want to go to the foreign domain to die. Lu Chen continued to ask at this time, "I heard that this teleportation channel to the outer domain was created by the owner of Tianji building. I wonder if fellow Taoist was present at that time." Emperor Anfang glanced at Lu Chen and then said, "Of course I am here. With such a spectacular scene, I naturally have to join in the fun." "Are you here?" Lu Chen said, "Yes." Emperor Anfang said, "That's a pity. I didn't see the terrifying strength of the owner of Tianji Tower." Lu Chen said, "The owner of Tianji Tower can open such a teleportation channel. Then he should be a heavenly emperor. Only the heavenly emperor has such great power. Didn't the great emperor at that time suspect that he was the heavenly emperor?" Emperor Anfang laughed, "How could it be so easy to produce Emperor Tian? The owner of Tianji Tower has the ability to use the power of the original source for a short time because he has a magic weapon obtained from the external domain." Lu Chen remained suspicious of Emperor Anfang's answer. He did not believe that there were any magic weapons in this world that could help people master the supreme power of the universe, but he did not continue to ask more questions. Emperor Anfang looked at Lu Chen and asked, "What, do you want to go to the outer world to see it? I advise you not to die. You are the 1st level emperor, and you may not be able to survive for a year after you go to the outer realm." Lu Chen smiled and said, "I think the era calamity is coming soon anyway. Maybe there are treasures in the outer realm that can fight against the era calamity. It's better to go and see it than to die." Hearing this, Emperor Anfang was stunned for a moment. He did not expect that a small 1st level emperor would have such an enlightenment. After Lu Chen finished speaking, he flew directly towards the black hole. His clone was mainly to explore the way and see if his soul could continue to control the clone after entering the outer realm. When he came outside the black hole, his body was instantly pulled in by a huge force of gravity. The next moment, his eyes were pitch black and he could not see anything. After Lu Chen discovered that after entering the black hole, his soul could continue to control his clone, which made Lu Chen feel much more relieved. However, this teleportation channel is very long. His clone feels like he has been in a black hole for hundreds of years. Because his clone is controlled by his soul, he can feel the passage of time inside and outside the black hole. Not long after, the outer domain exploration fleet of the Great Xia Dynasty also arrived in front of the black hole. Just when Empress Tianong was about to enter the transmission channel directly, Lu Chen's 4th-level clone stopped her and said, "Wait a minute, go in later." Empress Tianong turned her head and looked at Lu Chen, somewhat puzzled. People were already outside the transmission channel, why were they still staying here? She wanted to rush into the outer domain and kill people. Lu Chen said, "My clone is still in the transmission channel. Let's wait for him to enter the outer domain first." After hearing Lu Chen's words, Empress Tianong calmed down her inner restlessness. It was indeed necessary to confirm the stability of this transmission channel. After all, it was created by humans, and it might not be as stable as the cosmic cracks at the edge of the universe. Lu Chen and his friends waited for a year. Fortunately, the transmission channel created by Xuantian was very stable. The original power on the surface has been maintaining this black hole. After a year, this transmission channel has not shown any signs of collapse. For the Emperor, 10 years is not a long time. 10 years have passed in the blink of an eye. However, as a person with memories of the Earth, 10 years is still a bit long for Lu Chen. Fortunately, he has controlled his clones to help his wives and concubines practice in these 10 years, and his life is quite fulfilling. 10 years later, outer domain. A man with colorful creation power all over his body emerged from a vortex. When the man saw the light, he felt his body became extremely comfortable. After staying in the dark transmission channel for hundreds of years, if it were not for the fact that this was just a clone controlled by the soul, Lu Chen felt that he might be suffocated to go crazy. At this time, Lu Chen's soul checked the state of the clone and found that the state of the clone was abnormally good. At this time, the realm of his clone suddenly improved, and it was still continuously improved. U003C ins U003E. Outside the universe is chaos. Lu Chen was a little confused. What was going on? How come after entering the outer domain, the realm of his clone suddenly rose? In just a blink of an eye, his clone's realm broke through to the 5th level. It stands to reason that his soul strength cannot control a 6th-level main body and a 5th-level clone at the same time, but this 5th-level clone did not make him feel any discomfort. Lu Chen thought that this should be caused by the difference in the laws of the universe. The outer domain may no longer belong to the original universe. The laws are different. Without the restrictions of the laws of the original universe, he can control a stronger body with a weaker soul. Now is not the time to entangle this. Since it has been proved that this transmission channel can indeed reach the outer domain exploration fleet of the Great Xia Dynasty should also set off. At this moment, Central Star Region, on the Feihong Immortal Boat, Lu Chen, who is holding the waist of the Tianong Empress, suddenly stopped moving. Seeing that Lu Chen suddenly stopped moving, the Tianong Empress turned her head slightly and looked at Lu Chen with a puzzled look. Lu Chen said, "We can set off now." After he finished speaking, Lu Chen let go of the Rainbow Empress, and then sent a message to the emperors on other immortal boats. "It's almost time, we can set off. Remember the grouping I made at the beginning. If we get separated after entering the outer domain, the captain of each team will be responsible for finding the members of his team." After hearing Lu Chen's voice, the emperors who were in retreat opened their eyes. They were all very excited. After waiting for so long, they could finally enter the outer domain. After Lu Chen's message, the Rainbow Empress couldn't wait to control the Rainbow Immortal Boat to fly towards the black hole in the distance. As the Rainbow Immortal Boat entered the black hole, the surroundings instantly became pitch black, but at this time the light emitted by the formation on the Rainbow Immortal Boat illuminated the nearby area. As more and more starships entered the black hole, the light spots inside the black hole increased. At the same time, somewhere in the outer domain, Xuantian sat upright on the attic of the Tianji Palace. His eyes, which were originally closed, suddenly opened, and the corners of his mouth could not help but slightly raised. Very good, Lu Chen finally took the bait. When Lu Chen's emperor clone passed through the channel before, he almost thought that it was Lu Chen's main body. Fortunately, he held back and did not take action immediately. But this time he sensed a fourth-level Lu Chen entering the transmission channel. This time it must be Lu Chen's main body. When Lu Chen's main body completely entered the outer domain, he immediately sent the Great Xia Dynasty and the immortal weapon out of this universe. At this time, the three people of Shenwu, Nirvana Lord and Dusheng Empress came to Xuantian. Seeing Xuantian's smiling face, the Emperor of Shenwu frowned slightly. Before, he did think that Xuantian did so many things to deal with Lu Chen, but after seeing Xuantian's various methods and strengths, the Emperor of Shenwu felt more and more that Xuantian's layout was not only to deal with Lu Chen, but also to deal with them. Of course, it was obvious that the Emperor Shenwu overestimated himself. Xuantian never took anyone other than Lu Chen and Zan Qingyan seriously. The Lord of Nirvana asked at this time, Master Xuanlu is so happy, could it be that the plan was successful? Xuantian replied, yes, Lu Chen's main body has gone to the outer domain through my transmission channel. The Dusheng Empress asked curiously at this time, can Master Xuanlu really send the entire Xia Dynasty out of this universe? The current Xia Dynasty is not a small country on the edge of the universe. The territory of the Xia Dynasty is already the largest in the entire universe. To send the entire Xia Dynasty out of this universe, how terrifying strength must be possessed to be able to do it. If Xuantian can really do this, then Xuantian should also have the ability to directly destroy the immortal weapon. Why bother to make a layout to attract Lu Chen's main body out? Wouldn't this be a bit too complicated? The Dusheng Empress also felt that Xuantian's approach was more and more suspicious. Xuantian also saw that the three people in front of him had doubts, and he said lightly, the reason why I can do this is because of the Tianji Palace under me. At this time, the Lord of Nirvana raised a very critical question. Since this Tianji Palace is so powerful that it can send such a huge dynasty out of this universe, can it also send us out of this universe to avoid the epical catastrophe? When the Lord of Nirvana first heard Xuantian's plan, he was thinking about this question. The biggest reason why he was interested in this plan was here. At first, he really wanted to get rid of Lu Chen to prevent Lu Chen from becoming the Emperor of Heaven before him, but later he heard that Xuantian could actually send the Great Xia Dynasty out of this universe. Although he was a little skeptical in his heart, he still chose to join them. He wanted to see if Xuantian really had such ability. If he really had such ability, then if they wanted to avoid the epical catastrophe, wouldn't it be enough for them to just stay away from this universe? It's impossible that other universes are also experiencing the epical catastrophe, right? Hearing the question from the Lord of Nirvana, the Empress Dusheng and the Emperor Shenwu were startled, and then they both looked at Xuantian, waiting for Xuantian to answer this question. The three of them really wanted to become the Emperor of Heaven, but in addition to becoming the Emperor of Heaven, they had a more urgent matter to deal with, that is, the Great Tribulation of the Epic. According to the records of the ancient era, there is only one heavenly emperor, so it is impossible for everyone to become the heavenly emperor. Even if one of them becomes the heavenly emperor, only one can become the heavenly emperor. Perhaps the heavenly emperor can easily avoid the epical catastrophe, but other emperors cannot. Although they can avoid the epical catastrophe by finding the place where the epics intersect, this method is not completely reliable, because this is also the method left over from the previous era. Who knows whether the epical catastrophe of this era will be different from the previous era. Only leaving this universe is a permanent solution. As long as they can leave, the epical catastrophe will have nothing to do with them. Xuantian saw what the three were thinking, and said with a smile, do you know what is outside the universe? The Emperor Shenwu asked expressionlessly, does the Lord Zan know? Xuantian said with a smile, I might as well tell you directly that there is chaos outside the universe. Do you think that if you leave this universe, you can escape the epical catastrophe and survive? The chaotic energy outside the universe can corrode the power of all cultivators. Once a cultivator enters the chaos, he will die in less than a quarter of an hour. Those people from other worlds are desperately trying to enter our universe through the outside world. What do you think they are doing? Hearing Xuantian's words, the Emperor Shenwu frowned, and then he asked again, since there is chaos outside the universe, where do those people from other worlds come from? End of this chapter. Xuantian takes action. Xuantian obviously guessed that the Emperor Shenwu would ask this question. He said slowly, those people from other worlds come from the subsidiary universes of this universe. When this universe encounters a catastrophe, they will also encounter a catastrophe. And many of the subsidiary universes they are in have already begun to be destroyed, so they will flee to the outside world and want to reach our universe through the outside world. After listening to Xuantian's explanation, the Emperor Shenwu just felt funny. He didn't believe what the Emperor Shenwu said at all. Taiwan Novel Network. The reason is very simple. He has fought with those people from other worlds. Although most of them don't speak the same language and he can't understand what they say, the strength of those people from other worlds is very strong. How could such a powerful person from another world come from the subsidiary universe of their universe? It stands to reason that the laws of the main universe are more complete, and the strong people born there are stronger. How could it be possible that the average strength of the people in the subsidiary universe is much stronger than that of the main universe? Just as the Emperor Shenwu was thinking this, Xuantian continued, these aliens from the subsidiary universe are basically the strongest people in those subsidiary universes, so they all look very strong. People from other worlds with average strength can't escape to the outside world at all. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Hearing Xuantian's words, the Lord of Nirvana and the Empress of Dusheng both felt that there was some truth. After all, the subsidiary universe had collapsed, and the survivors who could survive must have some strength and means, otherwise they would not survive. The Emperor Shenwu frowned and stopped talking. Xuantian's words could indeed explain why the average strength of those aliens was so strong, but was the fact really as Xuantian said? The Emperor Shenwu still doubted Xuantian. Once the seeds of doubt were planted, they would continue to take root and sprout. Of course, Xuantian didn't care whether they had doubts or not. The Emperor Shenwu and his men were just tools in his hands. The reason why he was spending more time talking about them now was just because they still had some value. Another 10 years passed quickly. The Great Xia Dynasty continued to expand its territory in the universe with the help of the Saint-level Star Destroyer. The dynasty's luck became stronger and stronger, and more cultivators of the Great Xia Dynasty broke through and became emperors. For a time, the Great Xia Dynasty's emperors had reached a situation where almost every star field had one, especially the number of emperors in the Tianqian world was increasing crazily. Although Lu Chen's soul had not broken through, Lu Chen could clearly feel that the power that suppressed him was becoming more and more obvious. He had gradually felt the shackles on his body, which also confirmed some of his guesses. The Great Xia Dynasty's outer domain exploration fleet finally arrived in the outer domain. Fortunately, when the fleet arrived in the outer domain, it was not dispersed as Lu Chen expected. All the star destroyers were there, and the emperors were also there. With these emperors, Lu Chen didn't have to worry about encountering two strong people from other worlds and not being able to deal with them. At this moment, the Feihong immortal boat slowly stopped in the void of the outer domain. The outer domain is completely different from the main universe. There is a huge land in the outer domain. Although this land is in ruins, it also has a surface. However, there is also a void above the outer domain. That void is a real void without any starlight. The overall brightness of the outer domain is much darker than that of the main universe. The light of the outer domain basically comes from some luminous crystals on the continent. If there are no luminous crystals, then the outer domain is completely dark. Just like the last time Lu Chen's clone entered the outer domain, Lu Chen's 4th level clone entered the outer domain and also broke through the realm, but only broke through one level. He did not break through again when he reached the 5th level. In this way, Lu Chen has 2 5th level clones in the outer domain. At this moment, Lu Chen's clone who first entered the outer domain has gone to explore deeper into the outer domain, but since that clone entered the outer domain, he has not met anyone. Not to mention people from other worlds, he had never encountered even the great emperors, immortal boats from the main universe. The emptiness of the outer world was beyond imagination. Lu Chen's clone stood on a crystal stone emitting purple light, looking at the dark and desolate land in the distance. The land was covered with moss and was a little wet. Although this world was desolate, it also met some conditions for the existence of life. Lu Chen was a little puzzled. Why had he been in the outer world for so long, not to mention people, not even living animals or even insects? It seemed that this world only had moss, and the air was filled with the smell of moss. Lu Chen released his divine sense and explored the surrounding situation again. Within his great emperor's perception range, there was still nothing. At this time, Lu Chen, who was pressing on Empress Tianong, said to Empress Tianong, "The outer realm is so empty, how did you meet people from outside the realm? My clone has been in the outer realm for so long, let alone people from outside the realm, I haven't even met a living animal." Hearing Lu Chen's words, Empress Tianong, who was lying on the soft couch, turned her head slightly and looked at Lu Chen behind her and said, "Impossible." Empress Tianong still remembered that when she was in the outer realm in her previous life, she could basically meet a person from outside the realm in less than half a month. Lu Chen's clone who first entered the outer realm has been so long, how could he not meet any living creatures? Seeing that Empress Tianong didn't believe it, Lu Chen said, "You will know soon. My clone really hasn't met anything these days. I also want to find someone from outside the realm to ask what is going on in their world." After Lu Chen finished speaking, the Rainbow Queen took the initiative to release her spiritual sense and explored the surrounding environment. There was indeed nothing. Lu Chen said, "Let's go to other places first. Maybe those people in the outer domain have discovered some treasure and gathered together." The Rainbow Queen raised her hand lightly, and the Feihong immortal boat continued to fly deeper into the outer domain. She had been suppressed by Lu Chen in the transmission channel for a while, and she was very unhappy. Now she urgently needed a killing to release her inner boredom. Somewhere in the outer domain. In the Tianji Palace. Feeling that Lu Chen's immortal boat had completely left the transmission channel, Xuantian immediately stood up. Seeing Xuantian standing up, the Dusheng Empress hurriedly asked, "Has Lu Chen's main body arrived in the outer domain?" Xuantian replied, "It's here, and the next plan can begin." As soon as the voice fell, Xuantian's aura suddenly rose. In just a moment, the pressure from Xuantian made the 3 9th level emperors present feel unable to circulate the spiritual power in their bodies. This made the Shenwu emperor more convinced of his guess that Xuantian was indeed a hidden emperor, and he had been deceiving them all the time. At this time, Xuantian's body flew over the outer domain continent, and the laws surrounded him, as if he was the master of this world. At the same time, in the Great Xia Dynasty of the main universe, Lu Chen's main body was still discussing with Yun Shenxian whether to use coercive means against Yun Qingshu, and suddenly felt a huge palm slapping towards the Great Xia Dynasty. 1223 Dangerous Cosmic Gap. After feeling the huge palm, Lu Chen's main body immediately pulled away from Yun Shenxian and then flew out of the Tianqian world. Just as he had sensed, the entire Great Xia Dynasty was being pushed forward by a tremendous force, and a huge tear appeared where the Great Xia Dynasty bordered other star regions, as if the Great Xia Dynasty was about to be cut off from the universe. And above the Great Xia Dynasty, there is a huge palm formed by the power of origin. This palm is invisible to ordinary people, not even the emperor can find it. Only Lu Chen can clearly feel the existence of that giant palm. The invisible giant palm was surrounded by various laws and forces, and those laws and forces were repelling the Great Xia Dynasty. Lu Chen was still a little confused at this time. He didn't know what was going on. Logically speaking, this was not the great catastrophe of the epic. In his memory, when the great catastrophe of the epic occurred, it seemed that such a thing would not happen, right? Could the universe also drift like Earth's land plates? Something is wrong. It is obvious that someone has taken action against the Great Xia Dynasty. The person behind the scenes is the one who used the power of origin to condense the giant palm. The power of origin. Lu Chen suddenly thought of Xuantian, the owner of Tianji Tower. When Xuantian created the transmission channel to the outside world, he used a vast amount of original power. If we were to say who in this universe is most likely to mobilize so much original power, it would probably be Xuantian alone. But Xuantian didn't go to the outer realm. He was able to use the power of origin to attack the Great Xia Dynasty from a distance in the outer realm. How terrifying was Xuantian's strength! Could it be that this Xuantian is really a heavenly emperor? Thinking of this, Lu Chen's face became very serious. He could feel that the power contained in that giant palm was far beyond what he could resist at the moment. He could only watch as that giant palm peeled off the entire Great Xia Dynasty. However, just when Lu Chen thought that the Great Xia Dynasty was about to be completely separated from the universe, he suddenly discovered that no matter how hard the giant palm tried, it could not tear the Great Xia Dynasty away. What is going on here? Lu Chen just watched the show the whole time and did nothing. He didn't think it had anything to do with him. He could feel that the terrifying power contained in that giant palm should be able to tear apart the entire Great Xia Dynasty, but the giant palm seemed to have encountered some resistance and could no longer pull the Great Xia Dynasty out. At the same time, Xuantian in the outside world's face instantly darkened after feeling the resistance. He had never imagined that separating a part of the universe from his body would encounter such great resistance. What is going on? Xuantian was unwilling to give up, and then he once again mobilized the power of the laws of the entire universe, trying to drive out the Great Xia Dynasty and the fairy umbrella. As a result, no matter what means he used, the Great Xia Dynasty seemed to be stuck in this universe and could not be separated. Xuantian couldn't quite believe it. He was using the supreme power of the universe, and at the same time he was mobilizing the power of the laws of the universe. How could he not be able to eradicate the cancer of the Great Xia Dynasty? Afterwards, Xuantian tried several more times, and spent a whole year doing this. However, in the blink of an eye, a year had passed, and the Great Xia Dynasty still existed in this universe. Moreover, the original rift between the Great Xia Dynasty and the universe was gradually repaired, and the Great Xia Dynasty was once again connected with the universe. Emperor Shenwu and others saw that Xuantian's face was very ugly, and he had been casting spells for a year. They immediately realized that Xuantian's plan might have failed. At this time, Xuantian suddenly ended the spell and took back all the original power. Seeing Xuantian slowly falling from the sky to the roof of the Tianji Palace, Empress Dusheng immediately asked, "Master Zan, what's the situation?" Xuantian frowned and said, "The fate of the Great Xia Dynasty is too deeply tied to Lu Chen. We must get rid of Lu Chen first before we can separate the Great Xia Dynasty from this universe." Xuantian himself didn't know the specific reason, he could only think so now. Currently, the only people who can prevent him from expelling foreign matter from this universe even if he tries his best are Zan Qingyan and the Great Xia Dynasty. Zan Qingyan is a living being. She wants to stay in this universe and has certain abilities, but the Great Xia Dynasty and that magic weapon are dead things. It shouldn't be so troublesome. In the end, Xuantian could only blame it all on the fact that Lu Chen was not dead yet. The fate of the Great Xia Dynasty was too deeply tied to Lu Chen. If he wanted to separate the Great Xia Dynasty from the universe, he had to get rid of Lu Chen first. After hearing Xuantian's words, the Lord of Nirvana said, "Since Lu Chen has come to the outer domain, without the protection of the Great Xia Dynasty's barrier, it is time for us to take action." Empress Dusheng said, "But the outer realm is so big, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to find his location." Xuantian said calmly, "I can calculate his location, just follow me." As soon as he finished speaking, Xuantian controlled the Tianji Palace to fly towards an outer domain. Xuantian is the owner of Tianji Tower. Empress Dusheng and Lord Nirvana still believe in his deductive ability. Without any hesitation, they took their emperor and flew directly towards the direction where Lu Chen was. Looking at their departing backs, Emperor Shenwu's expression was somewhat serious. With Xuantian's strength, he should be able to wipe out Lu Chen easily. No matter how powerful Lu Chen is, he is only at the 5th or 6th level of the Great Emperor. He is not even the Heavenly Emperor. It is even possible that Lu Chen has not yet broken through to the 9th level of the Great Emperor. Xuantian possesses such a powerful original power that he can even attack the Great Xia Dynasty from a distance in the outer domain. With Xuantian's means and strength, is it so troublesome to kill Lu Chen? What's so special about this rebellious son that he deserves Xuantian's attention? After thinking about it, Emperor Shenwu still didn't understand the connection, so he didn't continue to think about it. He would go over and see what was going on. Then the Emperor Shenwu also followed with the immortal boat of the Shenyu dynasty. Great Xia Dynasty. Lu Chen's main body came to the edge of the border between the Great Xia Dynasty and the universe, looking at the huge tear in front of him. Below the tear was endless darkness. However, at this time, the tear between the Great Xia Dynasty and the universe is constantly shrinking, and the tear in some places has even disappeared. When the tear disappears completely, the Great Xia Dynasty will once again merge with the universe. Lu Chen was thinking in his heart, who knows what is underneath this tear? Could it be the outside world? Thinking of this, Lu Chen immediately created a quasi-emperor clone, and then he controlled this quasi-emperor clone to rush directly towards the bottomless cosmic chasm below. As soon as his quasi-emperor clone entered the bottomless cosmic chasm, he was instantly pulled by a huge force. In a moment, his clone was pulled directly into the darkness, and Lu Chen's soul also lost control of the clone. After realizing the danger of this cosmic chasm, Lu Chen couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat on his forehead. What kind of world is this below? Why is it so dangerous? End of this chapter. 1224 The army of Qingyu Holy Land arrives. In order to verify what kind of realm is required to survive in this cosmic chasm, Lu Chen then created another body, this time it was at the second level of the Great Emperor. After the physical body was created, Lu Chen carefully controlled the second-level physical body of the Great Emperor and flew towards the chasm that tore the universe apart. The result was the same as before. As soon as his emperor body entered the top of the chasm, he felt a huge attraction. However, this time Lu Chen immediately mobilized the power of origin and tried to stabilize his body and prevent himself from falling in. However, Lu Chen did not hold on for long. The suction force was so terrifying that in just a moment, Lu Chen's physical body of the second-level emperor could not withstand it and was directly sucked in. Just like the quasi-emperor's physical body just now, when the physical body of the second realm fell into the dark abyss in front of him, it was instantly disconnected from Lu Chen's soul. What on earth is beneath this abyss that even the body of a great emperor at the second level cannot withstand? In order to explore the contents of this abyss, Lu Chen then tried to let the physical body of the fifth-level Great Emperor enter, but the result was the same, as if this abyss was a forbidden zone for life, and any life that entered it would die instantly. After realizing the danger of this cosmic chasm, Lu Chen immediately issued an announcement, asking anyone in the Great Xia Dynasty not to approach the tear zone of the universe. Lu Chen looked up at the void again. At this time, the big hand in the void had completely disappeared. It seemed that the person behind the scenes discovered that the Great Xia Dynasty could not be cut off from this universe, so he gave up. I just don't know if it's giving up forever or just temporarily. Lu Chen was very wary of the person behind the big hand. He knew very well that he would definitely not be a match for the person behind the scenes. At the same time, Emperor Taikong brought the ferry boat of Qingyu Holy Land to the front of the Great Tier Zone of the universe. Seeing this cosmic gap that separated the Great Xia Dynasty from the universe, Emperor Taikong was extremely shocked. On their way to the Great Xia Dynasty, they felt that terrifying power, and they also discovered that the Great Xia Dynasty was moving away from the universe. At that time, they thought that the Great Xia Dynasty was about to completely leave the universe. It was already heart-wrenching to look at it from a distance, but when they got closer and saw the tier zone in front of them, they felt even more shocked. Emperor Taikong frowned and said, "What a terrifying power it must be to separate the Great Xia Dynasty from this universe." At this time, a great emperor said beside Emperor Taikong, "Could it be Lu Chen who did it?" Emperor Taikong said, "According to the information I have obtained, Lu Chen's main body has already led many emperors of the Great Xia Dynasty to the outer domain. Although they did not encounter the fleet of the Great Xia Dynasty along the way, Emperor Taikong had been paying attention to the affairs of the Central Star region, and he knew everything that happened in the Central Star region. It was obvious that Lu Chen used a high-level teleportation array to directly teleport the Great Xia Dynasty's ferry boats to the Central Star field, so it was not surprising that they did not encounter them. When Emperor Taikong finished speaking, another emperor beside him said, "If it's not Lu Chen, who else has such great power? Only the Emperor of Heaven can do all this, right?" At this time, the clone Lu Chen said at the side, "Could it be that the laws of the universe are excluding the Great Xia Dynasty?" After hearing this explanation, Emperor Taikong suddenly realized, it's not impossible. The Great Xia Dynasty is in its heyday, and Lu Chen is suspected to be the reincarnation of the Emperor of Heaven. If the Great Xia Dynasty continues to expand, the accumulated dynasty luck will accelerate Lu Chen's growth. Once Lu Chen grows up, he may threaten the supreme heavenly Tao of this universe. That's why the heavenly Tao wants to completely separate the Great Xia Dynasty. At this point, Emperor Taikong's gaze fell on the cosmic chasm in the distance. But speaking of which, why do I feel that the way of heaven has failed? Although a huge tear zone appeared between the Great Xia Dynasty and the universe, this tear zone did not continue to expand. Not only has it not expanded, but it is constantly shrinking. Judging from this, it won't be long before the star field where the Great Xia Dynasty is located will merge with the universe again. Doesn't this mean that heaven has failed? Will the way of heaven fail? An emperor asked, "What should we do now? Even the heavenly Tao can't do anything to Lu Chen and the Great Xia Dynasty, so how can we be a match for the Great Xia Dynasty?" Emperor Taikong said directly, "Rest where you are. There is now such a huge gap between the Great Xia Dynasty and us, and we cannot cross it. Even if we want to attack the Great Xia Dynasty, we have to wait until the star field of the Great Xia Dynasty is connected to this universe." As soon as Emperor Taikong finished speaking, a great emperor suddenly came to Emperor Taikong in a hurry and said, "Holy Son, the Holy Lord has sent someone." Upon hearing this, Emperor Taikong's face instantly darkened. Sending someone here at this time is obviously to supervise the battle. The next moment, everyone felt a terrifying pressure. Only Emperor Taikong could withstand it easily. The other emperors looked embarrassed and broke out in cold sweat under this pressure. Then, a voice came from the void, "Holy Son, since you have already arrived in the Great Xia Dynasty, why do you want to stay here?" As soon as he finished speaking, a middle-aged man in a purple robe appeared above their heads. The man glanced at the emperors present and finally his eyes fell on Emperor Taikong. Seeing the person coming, Emperor Taikong's expression became even uglier. He did not expect that the person coming was Emperor Guang's, an emperor who had already fallen. Emperor Taikong frowned and asked, "Why is it you? Didn't you die a long time ago?" Emperor Guang smiled and said, "It is all thanks to the old ancestor's secret method that I was able to successfully break through to the 9th level and break the limit. We'll talk about this emperor later. Holy Son, why don't you think about how to attack the Great Xia Dynasty? The ancestor has ordered that now that Lu Chen's main body has gone to the outer realm, now is the best time to destroy the Great Xia Dynasty." Emperor Taikong laughed, "The best time to destroy the Great Xia Dynasty? Doesn't the ancestor know that the Great Xia Dynasty's barrier cannot be broken even by an emperor of the 9th level?" Emperor Guang said calmly, "This has nothing to do with me. This is something you should consider. I am only here to convey the order." Emperor Taikong knew that the Lord of Qingyu had guessed his thoughts, so he deliberately sent Emperor Guang's to supervise him and to warn him at the same time. After all, Emperor Guang's was once a candidate for the Son of God of Qingyu Holy Land, but Emperor Guang's had never been able to break through the 9th level of the Emperor realm, and he also suffered some Taoist injuries. His time was up, and finally the position of the Son of God fell to Emperor Taikong. Now the Lord of Qingyu has sent this former candidate for the Holy Son. Isn't he telling Emperor Taikong that if you don't listen to him, then the Holy Land of Qingyu can also change a Holy Son? End of this chapter. 1225 Monk becomes demon. Emperor Taikong was silent for a moment, then he looked towards the cosmic chasm in the distance and said, "If we want to attack the Great Xia Dynasty, we must first cross this cosmic chasm. Unfortunately, we can't cross it now. We have to wait until the star field of the Great Xia Dynasty merges with this universe before we can contact the Great Xia Dynasty. After hearing what Emperor Taikong said, Emperor Guang's finally realized that there was a vast and bottomless abyss not far away. He glanced at the abyss in the distance and chuckled, "Taikong, you are too lazy to even find a decent excuse. It's just a ditch, why don't you just fly over it? You actually stopped for such a ditch." Emperor Taikong said calmly, "This abyss has just been formed, and no one knows what dangers are there. As the holy son of Qingyu Holy Land, I cannot risk the lives of the people of Qingyu Holy Land." Seeing that Emperor Taikong did not want to send troops, Emperor Guang said directly, "Okay, since you think it is dangerous, then I will personally explore the way for you. If there is no danger, you must send troops to attack the Great Xia Dynasty today." Emperor Guang thought to himself that even though Lu Chen's main body was no longer in the Great Xia Dynasty, the barrier of the Great Xia Dynasty was not so easy to break. If Emperor Taikong returned empty-handed, it would definitely make the Lord of Qingyu unhappy. If he fanned the flames at that time, maybe the Son of Heaven of Qingyu Holy Land would have to be replaced soon. Although the great catastrophe of the era is approaching, Emperor Guang still has a deep obsession with the control of the Qingyu Holy Land. He has been practicing in seclusion all these years, just for this. At this time, Emperor Guang flew towards the distant abyss of the universe without hesitation. Seeing the back of Emperor Guang, Lu Chen's mouth corners rose slightly. This is a good opportunity to verify how high the level of people this cosmic abyss can swallow up. Soon Emperor Guang arrived above the abyss of the universe. Without any hesitation, he flew over. However, just as he flew above the abyss of the universe, his body seemed to be fixed by something, and he could no longer continue to fly upwards. Seeing this scene, everyone's faces turned serious. Although Emperor Taikong and his men really wanted Emperor Guang to get into trouble, if Emperor Guang really died here, it would be difficult to explain after they returned. At this moment, Emperor Guang felt that his body was being pulled by something, and the power of the Emperor in his body was rapidly dissipating. Emperor Guang tried hard to use the power of the Great Tao to try to break free from the suction of the abyss, but no matter how he struggled, his body remained motionless. Emperor Guang was unwilling to give in and burned his soul directly. Seeing the red halo appearing on Emperor Guang's body, the atmosphere on the scene became even more depressing. No one knew what Emperor Guang was going through at this moment, but the fact that Emperor Guang's soul was burning meant that he was in a life and death crisis. Just by passing through the tear zone of this universe, one encounters a life and death crisis. This made Emperor Taikong and others sweat. Fortunately, they did not rush over rashly just now, otherwise they might be the ones whose souls would be burning at this moment. Emperor Guang turned his head with difficulty to look at the people watching the show behind him. At this moment, his cheeks were distorted and he looked very painful. He begged with all his strength, "Save me." Although Emperor Guang's voice was very low, the Emperor's present heard it very clearly, but none of the Emperors present moved. Here, only Emperor Guang and Emperor Taikong are 9th-level Emperors. Now even Emperor Guang, a 9th-level Emperor, is trapped by the abyss before him. The only one who can take action is Emperor Taikong. But how could Emperor Taikong take this risk for Emperor Guang? This is an abyss that even the Emperor of the 9th level cannot escape from even if he burns his soul. Emperor Guang was furious when he saw that Emperor Taikong and his men were indifferent. "Even if I die, I will not let you have an easy life." Having said that, Emperor Guang burned his soul frantically, trying to break free from the shackles of the abyss. At this moment, some black mist suddenly appeared in the abyss, and the black mist directly wrapped up the body of Emperor Guang. Before people could react, Emperor Guang's body continued to twist in the black air. The next moment, a demon emanating demonic power from an emperor appeared in front of people. Seeing the ferocious demon in front of them, everyone present was stunned. People did not expect that the demon was born in this way. Emperor Taikong came to his senses and said quickly, "Not good, this is a demon at the emperor level, we are no match for it, retreat quickly." Emperor Guang himself is already at the 9th level of the Great Emperor realm, and now he has transformed into a heavenly demon. Heavenly demons can crush cultivators at the same level, and a heavenly demon at the 9th level is definitely not something that people like them can resist now. As soon as Emperor Taikong finished speaking, the immortal boats in the Qingyu Holy Land turned around and prepared to flee this place. At this moment, Lu Chen did not make any movement. He looked at the demon transformed by Emperor Guang's in front of him and fell into deep thought. When there were demons born in the sub-world of his wives and concubines, he had thought about this question, whether some demons were transformed from the cultivators of this universe. He did not expect to see an example today. Although the 9th level demon is very powerful, for Lu Chen, who has practiced the chaos demon slaying art, it is very easy to deal with Emperor Guang's. At this time, Emperor Guang suddenly broke free from the constraints of the abyss and flew directly towards the barrier of the Great Xia Dynasty. Feeling that Emperor Guang's did not catch up with them, Emperor Taikong and others turned their heads away. One of the emperors said in surprise, "He didn't catch up, he went to attack the Great Xia Dynasty." Afterwards, the people from Qingyu Holy Land did not continue to flee, but stopped to watch the excitement. They really wanted to know whether the 9th level demon could destroy the barrier of the Great Xia Dynasty. Although they had no intention of attacking the Great Xia Dynasty, the Great Xia Dynasty was a huge threat to the universe. If Emperor Guang's, the newly transformed demon, could destroy the Great Xia Dynasty, it would be a good thing for the Qingyu Holy Land and the entire universe. Just as everyone was looking forward to it, a point of light suddenly flew out from the Great Xia Dynasty. When the light stopped, people could see clearly that the man was emitting the aura of a 5th level emperor, and he was also emitting murderous power. When they saw Lu Chen's 5th level clone, Emperor Taikong and the others were stunned. The power of killing. According to the information they obtained, there are only 2 killing emperors in the entire Great Xia Dynasty. One is Lu Chen, and the other is a female emperor. Didn't Lu Chen's main body already go to the outer realm? How come there is another 5th level killing emperor now? The key point is that the soul of the killing emperor seems to be complete and doesn't look like a clone at all. An emperor said, "How is this possible? Didn't Lu Chen go to the outer realm? How could he appear here?" End of this chapter. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.